How's it poppin', guys? I haven't done a podcast discussion like this in a while, so this is, I guess, the EXP podcast. It's like 6 months into the year, and I haven't even done anything like this yet. But I'm joined by two good buddies. Well, another one might join us a little bit later, but I got Justin from Just Keep Playing and Yggdrasil to discuss 1 year of Nintendo Switch 2 and rumors are rumbling about a possible, yeah, there it is. I got mine over here too, but rumors are rumbling about a possible Nintendo Direct coming very soon. So we can give our direct predictions as well. I think it's going to be a pretty big show. So you guys want to introduce yourself real quick? Justin, you want to go first?
What's up? I'm Justin from Just Keep Playing. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about this first year of Switch 2, to hear what your guys' thoughts are, to see how different our opinions are on certain things, and to talk about this upcoming direct to kick off year number two.
Yep.
Hey everyone, I'm Yggdrasil, and if you don't know me, it's because I haven't been making anything for a hot minute. But otherwise, I'm here to make RPG content with a primary focus on Nintendo games. I love to cover and focus up on especially Xenoblade Chronicles, but since then I've also dipped into a little bit of review content and a little bit of analysis when it comes to other RPGs as well as I try and experience them. Right now, I'm on a big Final Fantasy binge, and with yesterday's announcement at Summer Games Fest, I got a bit of catching up to do. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to put all of that on my bucket list, and maybe I'll talk about it on my channel too.
You gone through the most important thing of Final Fantasy, and that is the original.
The original, yeah.
You got through the most
Original
important
song.
FF7 piece of material, and that is the original. So good on you for that, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, 1 year of Switch 2. I cannot believe it's been a year. And here's what I've sort of been thinking. So, Switch 1 came out in early 2017, so March. So that whole 2017 felt like year one of Switch 1. I never saw it from like March 2017 to March 2018. I just saw it as the 2017, like that stretch. Whereas Switch 2 felt a little different because it was like right in the middle of 2025, and then 2025 to now June 2025 to now June 2026 kind of feels like that year. But I've seen a lot of people compare Switch 1's first year with Switch 2's first year. They are comparable, but also at the same time, I said this in my latest video, and I don't know how people don't get this, but the Switch One was such an anomaly. I don't think anything like that will ever happen in gaming ever again. And I've also like went back and thought of all the other launch lineups for other consoles, and it's not even like comparable. Like, of course, 3DS was a blunder. 3DS sucked for launch. It actually, like, I wanted the 3DS at launch, but even I was like, I think I gotta wait. And then Wii U was kind of lackluster at launch. PS4 was also a little like iffy in the first like year or so. And PS5, we sort of remember what PS5 was like. Switch 2 is such an anomaly. So what do you guys think of the Switch 2 launch versus the Switch 1 and other consoles?
We talking like literally just like launch day or overall launch year?
I think I would say like the launch lineup, the offering of games and software, as well as like what the experience was like at launch. Because I will say I think the experience of this launch, like the launch day, was actually pretty fun. Because I don't
Oh
remember
yeah.
too much of what it was like when the Switch 1 came out, because I didn't get it on day one. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts on all that.
Well, for me, my launch day was a little bit different, so it's definitely one that I'll like always remember. I
Yeah.
don't want to get, too personal
Oh
or bring
yeah.
the mood down or anything like that. But the Switch 2 came out around the same time as I was dealing with some things with my mom and
Hmm.
her health issues. So I talked about it before, how the Switch 2 is the like the last gift that she ever gave me. Um,
Yeah,
but
it makes it more
the
special.
launch,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But the launch of it is such a memorable experience because I pre-ordered it back home, but I had to go to where my mom was.
Mm,
So I wasn't home in California to be able to get it. So I had to ask my wife, who was still back home in California, if she would go pick it up for me, and like had to go through all of this like crazy red tape where I had to
yeah,
call. I'm in Detroit. I had to call Best Buy in
yeah,
California to be like, hey, what's the protocol for having someone else come and pick up a pre-order for me?
yeah.
And they're like, you need to have two forms of ID, a written letter, and just all this stuff for her to be able to go and pick it up.
A written
And
letter
keep
seems excessive, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So keep in mind, like my wife, like she started to get back into gaming with the original Switch, but she's definitely, not a hardcore
Mm,
gamer in the slightest. So she has never taken part of any kind of like launch,
launch,
not
yeah.
a game launch or let alone a hardware launch. So when I was talking to her, I was like, look, you gotta get there early because the line is
The
gonna be
line's gonna be
crazy.
insane, yeah.
And she was like, "No, of course I can just get there in maybe about 30 minutes or something like that." Like, no, you got to get there like a good hour, 2 hours, if not even more. I'm sure they're going to split things up by pre-orders and then those who didn't pre-order, but you want to get there early.
Mhm.
She got there and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I understand now. Like that line was crazy. Just the atmosphere was crazy." And she had me on FaceTime the entire time because she like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do.
I hope
And
I
then
got
she
all the
gets,
right stuff to get it.
yeah. So she goes in and she shows them me on the phone.
That's cool.
I'm like, yeah, that's my Switch that she's getting. And they're like, oh, we don't even here you go. They didn't even care about all of the like
Yeah,
IDs
all
and
They
the
never
written
do,
letter and
right?
everything.
They
yeah,
never do.
yeah. So she got my Switch and like she had a memorable experience and
That's good.
it was really cool to watch it through her eyes
That's
happening.
nice.
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah, it's good you have that memory of the Switch too, and it was like the last gift, which
yeah,
reminds you of like the time you had with your mom. So that's great. Um,
yeah.
I remember. I don't remember if you had this experience, Yig, but for me, I got it through Walmart, and I was like, last year I worked at a job where I had to wake up really early in the morning to leave, and I had to like drive like crazy hours to get to this place, right? And when I pre-ordered the Switch 2, they were like confirmed and they were like confident that it'll come the morning of the release day, and I was like, oh, I'll be the judge of that, we'll see when it happens, whatever, right?
Mhm.
And then I woke up early that morning and I was like, oh, it's probably gonna like come home a little later, like people are gonna be at home, they'll pick it up, I'll just tell them, hey, like be on the lookout for like whenever a Walmart package comes when I'm out to work, right?
Yeah.
I usually left work at like 6:45 in the morning. My package was delivered at like 6:20. When I woke up in the morning at like 6:20, I got a text from Walmart saying your package is on the way, and I was like, "Oh wow!" So I'll probably like get a glimpse of it before I leave. And I got to like get it at the door, bring it in. They had a pizza, Pringles, and a Coke inside there too. And then they had the Switch
Hmm.
too. So that was a pretty fun little experience. I got to have a mini photo shoot with it before I left to work. So that was fun. And then it was waiting for me the day, or waiting for me right when I got back home. I remember Summer Games Fest was happening that same day. It
Mhm.
was exactly that same day, June 5th, the day the Switch 2 came out. And I was listening to Summer Games Fest in my office. I was listening to like everyone react to it. And then as I was driving home, I was still listening to my friends react to it. And whenever they started like screaming, I was like, oh, is that Resident Evil 9? That's probably Resident Evil 9, right? And I was right. So that was a fun experience. And then yeah, that same night I streamed. No, it wasn't that same night. It was like around that same time I remember streaming Tears of the Kingdom for the first time, and I was like, wow, 60 FPS. no hiccups, no frame drops. Ultra hand can be completely smooth. Ascend is completely smooth. So that was fun because Tears of the Kingdom was a really great experience on Switch One. But I do remember like it wasn't like bad performance dips. I remember people
Mhm.
were saying like when they played the pre day one patch of Tears of the Kingdom, they're like, oh, this is a mess. How could this work? Like I remember even people who were reviewing the game were like, yeah, there's performance issues, but it's still reviewed very well. But when I played it on Switch 2, it was near perfection. And I was like, yeah, this is the way to play it. So that was fun. But yeah, what was your experience, Yig? I don't remember if you got it through Walmart or not with the
I
promos
got
and code.
mine through Best Buy, and
Yeah.
you might remember a little bit of it, that chaos, because when it was pre-order time, it was me, you, and one other, and we were on Discord screaming and
Yeah, we
crying
were
for
just yeah, and
3 hours.
Target kept canceling our
I had
card and all that.
millions
Oh
of
god.
different tabs open. I got my Switch 2 order through Target, and the second the order went through, not even a millisecond, I got another email saying your order has been canceled.
Yeah, I
And
remember
I
that.
was furious. And I'm trying all these things like, oh, everyone use the Target mobile app, like that'll fix it. Like you use the mobile app to get in, it'll put it on your cart and then go on the PC and then move it from the cart from there because for whatever reason payment is going through on PC,
Yeah, I,
but
I
not on
remember they
mobile.
even
And
charged my card and then they declined
exactly,
it.
I got one
And
too.
yeah, and then like my credit card was like, "Were you charged this amount?" And I'm like, uh, no, I
Yeah,
wasn't." That was
right.
kind of insane.
And then
Yeah.
all of that chaos to finally get in, and then for some reason, like Best Buy decides, like for everyone, it's going to start working. So I didn't complain about that one bit. Like 2 weeks before, I remember directly calling my local Best Buy and just making sure it's still there, it's
Yeah.
still active. Here's the order number, and they're like, "Yes, you're fine. Come in at this time." Because they were dropping them at, I think they were 10 p.m. my time.
Mm-hmm.
So I got there
Oh,
actually
okay.
like
Yeah.
I got there like 8:30, 8:45-ish, which I was like, for me, I'm like, is this a little too early? And then I'm like, no, I remember it's not, like, because I didn't pick up my Switch one, but there are other games I've gone and tried and pick up early, that also like carried on similar like levels of hype, like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I remember picking that up on day one, and that was a crazy line that like I wish I
Yeah.
got there earlier for. So I did that. I got there. There were two lines. This is so my Best Buy is situated between two other large buildings. There's like convenience store to the side of it, and it's a really large one. And then there's like a few like chain restaurants on the other side. And there's two lines already, one that way, one that way. And they're like, if you pre-ordered, you go on this side, and if you did not pre-order and you're just looking hopefully to get extras, they're on
Hopefully.
this side. And then like I was lucky because I was like number 20 or 30 in line for the pre-order pickups. And I was like, I hope there's enough. I hope they pre-ordered enough people that they can accommodate all the people that they said they pre-ordered for. But so then I start chit-chatting. The lines start exploding by like 9:30. The building was wrapped around on both directions. Like there were people, I saw it on not a WhatsApp group. Oh shoot, like a neighborhood watch group. Like
Yeah.
they're like, oh, what's going on? Like what's out today? And then like they're just driving and like the whole building is just full. I think in all there were like 130, 140 people in the pre-order line,
Wow.
according to someone. But you could not even count the people who were just hoping to get in and
Yeah.
snag their console. And thankfully it went smooth. They were letting like five people out in at once, and then by 10:35, because there was some sort of delay with their system, by like 10:35, I finally picked up my Switch 2. I looked back and like I'm like, Jesus, was that really like the line I was in? Like that's insane.
Yeah.
But I got home, I plugged it up. Next day was a work day where I was already having to wake up at like 6 a.m. again, but that still didn't stop me from playing for like a solid 2 hours of the new Mario Kart. Um, and then the next few weeks, it's like, yeah, it's like, shoot, I want to experience these games with this level of quality. Like I
Yeah.
went back and I started up Breath of the Wild, and I did like the first Divine Beast, and then I went into Mario Odyssey, and I went through all these other games that got the high defs, and it was a good time. It was a
Yeah.
really solid like initial experience for me.
Yeah, I remember
I have to
even
say,
bringing my oh sorry, real quick. I remember bringing the Switch 2 to work the next couple of days and showing everyone like, "Oh, this is how you play. This is what Zelda looks like in handheld in 60 FPS." And they're like, "Oh, wow, that's way better than I remember it." And then later my boss was like telling me he's like, "Oh, I might want to get the Switch 2. What games does it have on it?" So I was telling him. And then I remember I saw Wario 64 link and I sent it to him immediately. I was like, "Get it now. It's going to sell out quick." And then he eventually got it a few weeks later. But yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
say like I have to say this is probably the most well prepared that I've ever seen Nintendo for the launch of a console.
yeah. Or any like gaming console for that matter. I remember PS5. I mean, that was also during like the pandemic, so it was tougher. But like, I remember it
Yeah.
was very, very, very difficult to get a PS5 at launch. Even a Switch OLED. A Switch OLED was very difficult to get at launch.
Mhm.
Anything even after the pandemic, even like Steam Deck is a whole other thing, but like a lot of systems were just very difficult to get at launch. And for Switch 2, everyone was saying, "Oh, I'm so excited to play it at launch if I'm gonna get it." But everyone who wanted to get it managed to get it, so that was
Yeah.
very great, actually.
They were really good on it, which surprised me because of even back then, like metal scarcity a year ago is still a very strong thing. Um, but for people who wanted to get it, like they were prepared, and that was a really good sign.
Yeah, and even now, like you can just go on any retail store and get it. So,
Hmm. Oh
and
yeah.
I'm sure people are hopping on it much more now because of the announcement of the possible, or not possible, the announcement of the price hike eventually. I was gonna say
Yeah.
eventual price hike because it's good that they kind of gave people a warning and like, hey, it's gonna go up in
Yeah.
price now. Get it while you can.
Yeah.
So
With
I'm
a good
I'm kind of
window
glad
too.
that yeah.
Like they gave everyone a solid 4-month window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I
And
kind
getting
of
to pick
knew it was gonna
whatever game.
happen, so I was just like, I want to get it now because I know I'm going to want it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that was like one of those things. Like for me, it just always made sense. Like if you liked the original Switch, like I get it, people want to save money and everything, but it just made sense, like for me, that it was something that as soon as you can get it, that you should just get it.
mm,
One, even if it's just you're still playing Switch One games, like you said, they would be playing a lot better or looking a lot better on the Switch 2 and everything. So it
yeah,
was still worth it, even if maybe games that you were looking for weren't out yet.
yeah. Especially now with handheld boost, I think this is the
Yeah,
perfect backwards compatibility console because
yeah.
handheld boost is really, really great. I'm very impressed by it. I'm playing through Fire Emblem Three Houses right now. I'm doing the Blue Lions playthrough to get ready for
Team Blue
Portuguese Union.
Lions.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a good time so far. I'm now in the time skip arc, so it's like getting really good.
Mm,
But
yeah,
uh, that whole like handheld boost feature kind of just came out of nowhere, and that was what everyone was like wanting at launch. They were like, "Oh, Switch 2 is great, but in handheld, a lot of these games are kind of stretched out and they don't look very good. They actually look
Mhm.
worse." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good point. Hopefully they fix that." And handheld boost is just it completely fixes it. It's a really cool solution as well. They just make your Switch 1 act like a sorry, they make your Switch 2 act like a docked Switch 1, and I thought that was a very genius way to kind of fix that. When we said like a lot of us were going to get it anyway, I felt the same. I was like, I'm gonna get it now. The launch lineup looks all right to me, but eventually we're going to get Zelda Xenoblade Fire Emblem, so like might as well get it
Mhm.
now before a price increase. And I was initially like shocked with the 450 price point because I thought it would be like a flat 400 or 399 or whatever. But then I was kind of blown away during the presentation when I like it hit me that it's gonna have a 120 hertz screen. I was like that was not on my cards at all. Everyone was like, "Oh, how powerful do you think the Switch 2 is gonna be?" I was like, "Yeah." I also even thought that 4K 60 FPS was pushing it. I was like, "This is Nintendo we're talking about. Nintendo's not gonna like go full on the technology side. Like it's gonna be 4K. Maybe some of the games will max out at 30 FPS or like something like that." But 4K 60 FPS was great. 120 hertz was not in my mind at all. I didn't even consider it. That was not even in any of my like technology predictions. Like I was like mouse controls, this, that, and the other, game chat. Like I had those kinds of predictions, but like 120 hertz was something I was like, that's just out of the question. But that was the biggest surprise for me in the hardware. So I was very, very, very happy to see that, and that kind of justified the price for me for the hardware.
For
Yeah.
me, I was expecting actually 500.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would not like to see it, but from a as realistic an expression as I can, I would totally see 500 at launch, just because metals are like, regardless of the specs,
Yeah.
costs are shooting up through the roof. Shipping is having additional fees at every expense, and I know sometimes Nintendo likes to sell things at a little bit of a loss. But even then, I was fully expecting 500, and even
Yeah.
with 500, I would still pick it up at launch,
Yeah.
because I'm from a place of comfort, and then I also had most of my summers relatively free compared to the rest of my working period, just
Mm.
because of my current work situation. Um, and so I'm like, even then, like it is still beneficial for me to pick it up. And then when I saw it was actually 450, I was like, that's the sweet spot for me.
Ah,
Like I get
that's
people would
interesting. Yeah.
really like, and I really understand people would like 400, but I just did not see 400.
Oh
And
yeah.
even then at 450, to compare what Switch 2 does relative to most other consoles, it's still insane to think about
Yeah.
sometimes.
With everything like you get in the box, like I thought that it was worth the 450 from the get go. I was hoping for that 400,
Hmm.
but I was fine with 450, because like everything that you get in the box with having like especially if you compared it to like a Steam Deck and how much that costs to
Yeah.
have the Switch itself with the dock, with
Yeah.
two Joy-Cons where you can play with two people right out of the box. For me, like that felt like that was worth it.
Yeah.
And then seeing how much of a leap it was from the Switch one, and with everything that was going on in the world at the time, I wasn't like taken aback or thinking like, oh, just super greedy Nintendo with that price. There
Yeah.
is another price that I know we'll probably talk
Yes.
about,
Yeah.
but for the system itself, I thought that the price was
Yeah.
fair. And yeah.
That's interesting, Yig, that you say that you expected 500, so 450 was like somewhat of a relief to you. But on the other side, I expected 400, so 450 was initially a shock, but then I like looked into the hardware and I was like, oh wow, this is actually like way more powerful than I expected. And yeah, with yeah, like a lot of people don't like talk about the fact that Switch 2 comes with the dock, and with my Steam Deck, I have a dock for it, but I had to get a separate third party dock, which thankfully universally works because the Steam Deck is like a PC, so it uses universal like third party docks. But the first party Valve dock is insanely overpriced. Like if anyone gets that, then like just don't like
Hmm.
don't you don't need that. It's,
Or
but
with PS5 Pro needing a silly like insert
yeah.
disc.
PS5
Yeah.
Pro needs PS5 Pro, and I think the Slim needs an additional vertical stand, which you have to get separately. Then you need the disk drive that you need to get separately. And I'm just like, why?
It's
Why?
like that old meme of, you see like someone selling you a burger, but they're selling you the parts individually.
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I think of modern PlayStation.
Yeah. And I remember whenever people are like, we'll get into this later, but like whenever people are upset about Nintendo's like additional add-ons, like, oh, you have to get a GameCube controller to do this, or you need the Virtual Boy thing to do this, I'm like, do you guys not remember? I think this, I have to go back and fact check this, but I think I remember when the PS Portal came out, the only wireless headphones that you could use were like proprietary Sony headphones or something like that. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's insane. So every company has their own annoyances, but with what Nintendo has done, this can transition us to like this next thing. I looking back at it, I think the two biggest annoyances and upsets I had with Switch 2 and still have, which in the grand scheme of it isn't like the biggest deal, are Mario Kart World at $80 and game key cards. And hopefully both of these are being like alleviated, which I will talk about later, but like what do you guys think of both of these things?
Yeah, with Mario Kart World, like yeah, it was like $80. What are we doing here? I have my like conspiracy theories that maybe that they were trying to use Mario Kart as well to cover prices for a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
But still, they didn't really do much to show you that like, hey, this is worth that 80. But it didn't impact me as much when they offered it as a bundle.
Yeah.
So you're able to get it for that $50.
Did all
So
three of
I
us
was
do that? Did we all get the bundle? I know you did, Yig.
I did not get the
Yeah.
bundle. I was unlucky. I could not get the bundle, so I
Okay.
had to order that separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I managed to get the bundle, and I was like, for me, digital games, like I prefer to get a physical game, but if it's a digital game that I'm not like, if I'm not as excited about it, then I don't care if it's digital. Like even Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is digital on Switch 1, but and so
Yeah.
I was like, Mario Kart World digital, I don't really care. It's not like my Xenoblade that I want to like have on the shelf, you know?
It's digital on my Switch One too, but that's if only
Yeah.
because I have Mario Kart 8 on my Wii U.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I do have the physical on Wii U, and actually the same for Breath of the Wild. I have Breath of the Wild digital on Switch, but I have a physical on Wii U. Funnily enough.
Guys.
Yeah.
Plus, for me, like a game like Mario Kart, that's a game that's just like good to always have at the ready and not
Yeah.
have to like switch out a cartridge or something like that.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Now, I know the other thing on the game key card, I probably don't feel as strongly about that as I think you two do. Like I'm not a fan. Like I
Yeah.
don't prefer it, and I wish that like, especially for the games where we know that they could fit
Mm,
on a regular size cartridge, I was like, yeah, put that on the cartridge, or with like some of the upgrade paths that these companies have done that don't make any sense, like with being able to upgrade from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2, not offering that for every game.
Square Enix.
But
That's all
yeah,
you.
but overall, like if a game that I want to play is on a game key card, I'll be like, man, I wish it wasn't, but I'll
Yeah.
get the game key card. And I definitely understand, like, especially like coming from seeing everything from the Nintendo 64 era and the GameCube era and how format kept a lot of third parties away from putting games on a Nintendo system.
That.
If having a game key card is the difference between having the level of Square Enix and Capcom support that we've got or not getting it,
Exactly.
then I'll take the game key card if that's what we have to do.
That's the main crux of it, is like a lot of I told some of my friends this. I was like, the problem with game key cards, or like the upset with game key cards, comes from the fact that Switch 2 is a Switch 2. Like the Switch 2 can't use discs. This is not like a PSP. Like, you know, the PSP had like those weird discs that you put into the handheld. Like
Yeah.
the Switch can't do that. And if you want discs, then we're not going to get a Switch. We're not going to get a hybrid console. We're going to have to get a PS5 like level thing. And that's not what Nintendo wants to do. And that's not what Nintendo has kind of worked towards. So unfortunately, I didn't really realize, like, this didn't click to me. I remember before the Switch 2 was announced and before the Direct, I kept telling my friends, I was like, oh, third parties, I hope they like put their games on the cartridge. Like, that's going to be tough. Like, it would be cool if everything is on the cart. And I didn't realize that putting everything on the cart is not easy, and it's not cheap either. Like the 64 gigabyte cartridge are expensive, but I always kind of like had in my head, I was like, oh, Switch 1 has all these different cartridge sizes, like all these games like all fit on the cartridge. Even Tears of the Kingdom, which is like 32 gigs, or Witcher 3, which is 32 gigs, like it all fits on the cartridge. They'll do the same for Switch 2. But at launch, I was a little shocked to see all these games, game key cards. But the biggest upsets were the ones that were like Puyo Puyo Tetris, which was 4 gigabytes.
Yeah.
on a game key
Yeah.
card, or like Bravely Default 10 gigs on a game key card. And I was like, is there no like other options? Because then I was like, that is on Nintendo for providing more options instead of just being like digital game key card or 64 gigs. And if they want to put it on the cartridge, they have to go all the way to 64 gigs, which is like, of course, like publishers and companies have money to spend, but when you like see the things, like obviously they're probably going to cheap out on it. So that's why I'm like, hopefully we get smaller sizes so they don't have to spend as much money and they can still put everything on the cartridge, because they're kind of understanding now that, especially developers like Falcom is a very good example, because a lot of their games, which are game key cards, are just not selling well at all, which is interesting. So hopefully they're taking that into account and maybe working with Nintendo to like get some smaller cartridge sizes, because even some indie games are supposedly on smaller cartridges. So hopefully that translates over to like other games as well, like other bigger quality games. But it's a whole kind of idea of it being a hybrid system and it using cartridges, so it is sort of the trade-off there. But yeah,
No, I sure hope so, because especially when you were bringing back up Bravely Default, I remember because I've never got into that series, and the closest thing I could get was Bravely Default 2, but I still wanted to play the first game. And when they announced it was going to be on Switch 2, I was like, all right, awesome. And then I found out it was going to be a game key card, and that hindered my choice to pick it up. I still don't want to pick it up as a
yeah,
game key card, to be honest. Um, just because, again, like that file size does not warrant a game key card, in my opinion. But for the Switch 2 lineup, with it starting out with all those high definition increases, and then Mario Kart World was a weird one for me,
yeah.
because the way I look at Mario Kart World now, I think of it as a glorified $80 multi-disc CD player.
Oh yeah,
It has
yeah. The
it
OST is
has it
crazy on that.
has
Yeah,
it has the best Mario soundtrack in all of Mario. Because
Yeah.
everything it I love jazz, and it just goes right up there, and they make it funky, and it's like a true homage in terms of just referencing all these different themes throughout Mario through its like 40 years. The gameplay though is it's right there, but what's going on with the maps? Like, what's going on with
the
these game modes?
intermissions.
What's with the intermission laps? Like, there's like, oh, like this is something new, and I'm like, all right, that was a thing, but it's like now we're gonna do the 3 laps, right? No, it was just a one over and then on to the next intermission, and I'm like, that doesn't feel like Mario Kart to me.
It
And they
was an
just
interesting change, because I remember I should have like made a video on this, or I should have said this on camera or somewhere, but I remember in 2021 when Forza Horizon 5 came out, I was like, oh dude, what if the next Mario Kart is like this? What if it's like open world where you can just drive everywhere? And I was right, but I just never like I never said it like 5 years back or like 4 years back.
yeah,
But
but
my
it
thing
was
is,
something that
yeah,
it was something we didn't really like pick that up. Like, we get that it's a sense, it's like it's true to its name, it's Mario Kart
world,
World, go
yeah.
around the world. But I did not expect, and this could just be me being like a boomer, I'm like, I messed with the perfect formula. We had our 3 laps and that was that. How could they mess up what was perfect? And I don't know. I think it took a few weeks though for the census to be there. Online wasn't also the best as far as I know. And then also with people were like, wow, there's 24 players and look how well this is running with like 24 people going around doing shenanigans. And then they remember it's 24 people doing shenanigans, and it just turns into absolute chaos. And you're
Yeah.
not rewarded for trying to stay up front. You're rewarded for staying in like fifth or sixth and holding on to something.
Yeah, especially in the knockout tour mode.
Yeah. Online, you're rewarded
That
for doing
mobile.
the same up until like 7 or 8K.
Yeah.
And then the tech was cool, like going around doing tech and like all these shortcuts and everything. Like, people were like doing crazy like 5 second long shortcuts just to shave off like a
Yeah.
half a second. things like that. And every now and then we still get like some random like crazy like new tech that they discover for the game.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
speaking of,
overall,
no, real quick, I just want to give a shout out. Speaking of Mario Kart World, a lot of the stuff you said reminded me of recently, one of me and Yig's fellow Xenoblade content creators is also a really awesome video editor, Shifted Pyro. He made a gigantically long, almost like a feature-length film analysis of Mario Kart World, of like all the mechanics and the content cadence and the everything leading up to it. Very well edited, so check that out. I don't know if you guys have, but very, very awesome video. But you reminded me of that, everything you said. But yeah.
yeah. No, it's good. I've seen half of that video. I need to get back to it honestly because it is such a long video.
Yeah.
Um, but there was that, and then there was also just half of the situation is we're dealing with these revitalized versions of the older games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the
Oh
Kingdom
yeah.
and whatnot. And then the other half is we have suddenly thrown open the door for more third party than ever before, but it's limited with game key cards.
Yeah.
And it was a really sour contention point for me because I
Yeah.
am as you can tell by my background, I am a physical first kind of guy. If I scooch the camera over a little bit, even though it would be a pain in the butt, but if I scooch the camera over, you'd see 4 shelves filled with nothing but manga and games all the way back from the GameCube era. My N64 cartridges are out here too. Um, I am just a physical first kind of person. I rarely, if ever, purchase anything digitally aside from on PC. Um, and I had a sour spot. I'm like, dang, if they did not do game key cards, like this would be the perfect console. This would be the perfect lineup for me.
Yeah,
And
I
I
was
get it.
ready to
I'm
move on from my PS5 over to the Switch 2. I was like, I love the hybrid form factor so much that I would be willing to like start buying games exclusively for Switch 2 if they're all on the cart and if they run perfectly, if the performance is good. But the game key cards is like the one kind of like messy thing there as well. And sometimes it depends on the performance of the game as well, but that's all on the developers. Like they have the tech, they have the hardware, they have the engine to get it running. If they don't make it perform well, like freaking Capcom is doing all this cool stuff on the Switch 2. Atlas has no excuse for Persona 3 running so poorly at launch before a patch.
yeah,
So
and that
Yeah.
opens the other issues with third party. It's like, well, what are you planning? Like, how is this developer handling it? Like, how are they handling their ports? How are they handling the game key card scenario? Like, up
Bandai
until
Namco.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. And then with Square Enix, I was ready to call Switch 2 is my RPG machine
Yeah.
because that tail end of Switch 1, 9 out of 10 games I were picking up were from Square Enix, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to continue that trend, and then Bravely Default, Game Key Card, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, Game Key Card. Elliot is going to be the first Game Key Card I pick up next in the 2 weeks from now, I think, a little
Yeah.
under 2 weeks. It'll be the first game key card I pick up, and that's like I have to like hype myself into like, well, I'm picking it off Amazon, so I'm getting a poster,
Yeah. And you're
and
getting the
stuff like
collector's
that.
edition, right? Or
No, I'm
oh,
not,
okay.
unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
At least you're getting a poster though. It's a
yeah,
nice
and then
bonus.
plus,
Yeah.
but I at the same point, it's like I also have to understand I'm genuinely the minority of people purchasing physical at this point.
Oh yeah.
Digital is just so comfortable for most people. It's the expected norm for most people to go digital. Look what they're doing right now with what their statement like a month or two ago that like caused people to go into like a frenzy with like digital from like
I
certain games
I have
digitally
a
going
lot to say
forward
about this.
will be a few dollars off. And it's not to say that the physical is more expensive. The physical is its market suggested price. Um, it's just that that physical comes with shipping costs, with need for metals, with need to pay a third-party provider
And
often.
cartridges are factually probably more expensive to manufacture than a disc.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all of that together, and then they're like, hey, if you get the digital, we're gonna sell it to you at a loss for us compared to its market price, just so you can have it. And it might not be, it's not gonna probably be a loss to them. It'll still be a big win because now they don't have to pay third party. Now they don't have to pay for the cartridge. Now they don't have to pay for shipping, and all of that adds up. It would still be a win for digital owners, and it would be a win for Nintendo. It just won't be the biggest win for people like me who still want everything physical. I still want to hold it in my hand. I still want to look at it at on my shelf and just
Yeah.
appreciate it.
What's amazing though is the price
Yeah.
matching. Yeah. What were you saying, Justin?
Mhm.
I was gonna say it has been a win for us on the physical side because
Yeah.
of Walmart and Amazon
Mhm.
matching that digital price. Because
Right.
that was like I got Yoshi at the discounted price, but I got the physical
Yeah.
thanks to Walmart.
There you go.
And even like
And
Star Fox now, like I got it at $50 and I'm like, dang, I did not expect to get
yeah.
a new Switch 2 game that looks that good at 50
Yeah,
bucks. And
yeah,
when that whole like so variable pricing and the physical digital split to me aren't bad things because
no,
when I especially the physical digital split was when I like really like nailed it down. I was like, okay, I think people are trying to look for problems in things that don't necessarily have a problem. I did not
yeah,
see any issue with it at all because people are saying, oh, they like brought the price up of physical games or whatever, like, oh, they physical games are more expensive now. I'm like, no, that was the price that they were always going to be. Like Splatoon was always going to be 60, Yoshi was always going to be 70, Star Fox is always going to be 60, and that was the variable pricing. Now they're just giving you a $10 cheaper version because I fail to see how Splatoon Raiders as a new Switch 2 game would have a base price before the physical digital split of $50. So
yeah,
there was no price increase.
yeah.
Like Splatoon was always
Especially
going to
when
be a
Switch
$60
One
game.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when Switch One games were $60. So
Exactly. And yeah, even Switch 1 had some variable pricing. Like I think what's that, Game Builder Garage was cheaper, and then Metro Prime Remasters was cheaper. Even now Rhythm Heaven is cheaper. And then Tears of the Kingdom was more expensive. That was their first time doing $70. So I think the biggest upset is an $80 game. Like $80 games, that's not good. I don't like to have to spend $80 for a game because I'm still getting used to spending $70 for a game. But now, if a game is priced at $80, God forbid, hopefully Walmart or Amazon will price match the digital version of the game, which will probably be 70. Of course, we'll have to see. Like, there's not a whole precedent of everything. I'm curious to see how Fire Emblem is priced. I think it'll be 70, 60. And if I can get a physical version of Fire Emblem for 60, I will be actually pretty amazed. The fact that I'm paying or getting a next generation Fire Emblem game on Switch 2 the same price that I got Three Houses and Engage. That's gonna be pretty cool
Yeah.
to see.
yeah,
I'll be pretty happy with that. But at the same time, wait, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, for $80 games, here's my like wishful thinking kind of conspiracy. And I'm no like sales analyst like someone like Bo or OJR, but I remember them saying some of this stuff in some of their videos, but Mario Kart World had a very good like sales trajectory during the launch because a lot of people got the bundle, a lot of people got the game, and then they eventually phased the bundle out. They kind of discontinued the bundle, replaced it with Legend ZA and Pacopia and stuff, right? When they phased out the bundle, the sales kind of like tapered and slowly started to flatline. And some people even said like it had like um a worse like I don't even know how to describe it. Like the later sales of Mario Kart World weren't as good compared to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Mario Kart 8 on Wii U and stuff like that. Or I don't know about the Wii U because the Wii U was like a failure. Like no one freaking bought Mario Kart on the Wii U. But what I'm saying is hopefully Nintendo sees the slowdown and says, "Oh, maybe like the $80 is a big barrier without the bundle. Let's stick to the max at 70." So
Conspiracy has it that Nintendo has seen that based off of maybe supposedly the lack of sales for Mario Tennis Fever, with people thinking that that is what led us to getting the
yeah, that
the
didn't even
digital
hit a
physical
million.
split.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
you would think Mario is like your go-to million seller, you know?
yeah,
And fever is related is something tennis fever is related to something that could be shared for all generations too. Like kids can pick it up easily. Like it's a family game. It's meant for like all gens, and it wouldn't even hit a million. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
interesting. But yeah, that's I guess that is one thing I'm interested to see. Variable pricing, I'm okay with that. It gives a smaller barrier of entry for games like Star Fox, which might need that kind of boost in popularity. So hopefully like that game sells well. That game does look pretty good.
I
Um
really hope it does so
Most
well.
approachability.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
even like a game like Fire Emblem, like uh, I say 70-60 because other JRPGs like Final Fantasy, Persona, Metaphor, they've now hit the 70 price point. And I think Fire Emblem, from what I saw, it looks like it's going to be a pretty expensive game, so I think it might warrant the 70, but we'll see. We'll see about that. But if, like I said, if I can get it for 60, then that's amazing. Oh yeah, one more thing I want to say, the biggest game keycard upset aside from small games being on a game key card is Pocopia, which kind of scares me. I'm like, why did they choose to put that on the game key card? And I hope that means
Mhm.
I don't know what it means, but I hope Winds and Waves don't have the same fate. But that is a very random thing that Pocopio is on a game key card, and I just don't know why.
Was it a
No.
Pokemon Company thing or was it a Koei Tecmo thing? Like,
Yeah,
who was the reason behind that?
yeah,
I
because
know. It's
I
until
don't
we
think
get onto
Pokemon will be I don't think Pokemon will be because we got Legends ZA, on the cartridge. So
that was also
hopefully that
Switch
can
2 edition, though, to be fair.
true.
Because Switch 2 editions are always like on the cart in the sense that like it is both the Switch 1 and Switch 1 version and the Switch 2 patch on the cart. So it's like a interchangeable thing. What's cool is like you can get that Switch 2 cartridge and put it in your Switch 1 and still play it without the patch. So
Yeah.
yeah. So hopefully the first mainline Pokemon like full on Switch 2 game will not be a game key card. And if it is, then that might be a Pokemon exclusive thing. But we'll see. We'll see about where that
Mhm.
goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depends on how much they want to keep like spoilers away and cheating away
Yeah.
and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that is another thing too. But what else? Yeah, how else do you guys think about like the first year in terms of games? Like we got Mario Kart, DK Bonanza, Metroid Prime 4, Legend ZA, Pocopia, Star Fox is on the horizon. We got Yoshi, Mario Tennis, a few other games that I definitely missed out on. All the
Yeah.
Switch 2 editions. Like
Yeah.
how do you feel, like I was saying before, like it's hard to compare it to Switch 1. Switch 1 was an anomaly. It was like one of the best launches ever. So what do you guys think
Yeah.
about what we have for Switch 2 versus Switch 1
I'm
and other
fine with it.
consoles, I guess.
I personally am fine with it. It's got a good cadence. It's not the absolute like hype train super cadence that a lot of people were thinking it would be. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people's upset or discontent with it is related to which series is getting what in its first year. Yeah, we did start off with Mario Kart World, but the magic faded in that one in like 2, 3 weeks when people found all the points of contention.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't quite fit how they would have perceived the next gen Mario Kart to have been, for them anyway. And even with like a year later on, there's still people saying it's like we need DLC, we need more three course maps, all these things. Like people are still clamoring for a lot of changes in the world, and they're hoping like a DC DLC could fix it, and they're hoping that would be something that would be announced at a direct if we have one next week. So that was like a good like little bit of magic. And then we had the initial game key cards. So some people picked it up, some people didn't. Some people went back and we played the high definition game. So some of us like you went back to you went back to Tears. I went back to Breath of the Wild. I went back to Mario Odyssey for a little bit. And then they started to roll out some new games. And Bonanza was great. It was a good one-off for me. Like I don't feel like I'll be replaying it. It got soured off by its DLC. I don't think it should have been a $20 DLC. I think it
Yeah,
should have just been like an add-on. Oh, and then what? It was the other smaller third parties getting announced. Metroid Prime 4 finally hit, but Metroid Prime 4 was also a pretty contentious game because some people were like, "How was it in development for this long?" And it only turned out
that
like
was an
this, or it
interesting
turned out like so and
experience.
so. We got that. We're gonna have a new DK. The Fire Emblem is on its way, but we're still waiting for it, even though we've known for it for months at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
and yeah,
and then Yoshi and whatnot, and smaller Mario games. And I think this people would have a completely different change of mind if they had if you flipped the first party lineups instead of these games and series that haven't been in the photo for 10, 15, 20 odd years. If they're like, oh no, we just needed the Mario, like we had Mario Odyssey like within a year, we had a new Zelda at launch, then we got hit with like new Fire Emblem, Xenoblade like popped off in like year one ish, and like there was like all the sort of things. And then I'll never still forget the 2017 opening Nintendo Direct. I still think that is one of the best and most
that's one of the
memorable
greatest
directs.
because it had all the first party stuff. It ended
Yeah,
with that massive Breath of the Wild trailer. Um, all the stuff that we saw there, like a lot of it was not leaked, and it was a surprise. Like no one
yeah.
thought that 2 years after Xenoblade X, we'd get Xenoblade 2. Like not even like something new from Xenoblade because we got Xenoblade 1, Xenoblade X, and we got Xenoblade 2. Like
hmm
the second Xenoblade, we were like, what does that
I
mean?
think I
Yeah.
think that Direct cursed the Switch 2's opening because that
Oh,
that
yeah.
Direct from Switch 1 set up so many preconceptions and so
The
many notions.
expectation.
The it Switch One's launch set up so much expectation for Switch Two that when it didn't match, if it was even one game off, and I'm like, I don't want to be that like kind of skeptic. If it had a Zelda game, if Switch 2 had some other Zelda game, and I know it would be cutting way too close to Tears of the Kingdom, and Age of Calamity is um not Zelda to a lot of people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Age
you
of
know.
Imprisonment.
Age of Imprisonment, sorry.
Yeah.
It's not a Zelda game to a lot of people. It's like a hack and slash, and it's a Koei Tecmo and all that, or um and then all of that together, if we just had a genuine Zelda experience I'd line up, I think people would be kind of saying things differently. Or the next 3D Mario, like a
That is the
full-on
big
official
one that
3D
people are waiting on.
that's what people are wanting for. That's what they're chasing for. And the fact that like they didn't see that in the first year, and now there's been a silence on a giant major direct, and they're like, great, I'm seeing all these wonderful like third party games, and we're more open to third party than ever before. But it's stuck with the contention of the game key card debacle, and then prices are going up for what some people consider to be prices going up anyway, even though we know there's all these reasons for it. Um, it's just so laden with small talking points and points of discourse. It was almost impossible for people to be pleased with the way Switch 2 is going to be perceived looking back throughout its first year.
Yeah. What do you think, Justin?
So I don't know. I might be in the minority here, but I feel like there are others that think like me. And I would say, in my opinion, overall, I know you said that it would be pretty hard or impossible to ever match the Switch One's year one. But I overall think that the Switch 2's year one is much better than the Switch One's year one. And so I think, like you said, the biggest sticking point is that Nintendo missed out on having like that generational type of
Yeah.
experience. That if they would have had that generational game, I think it would have like silenced everything. Donkey Kong Bonanza is close,
Yeah.
but it's not quite generational. It's really, really good, and I love
Yeah.
that game. It's
Yeah,
definitely
it's a very
a
cool take
nine
on
out
the
of
Odyssey
10.
formula.
It's super
Yeah,
technically impressive too.
yeah, but it's a really good game. I love that game. And it has like, I don't, I have it in Odyssey kind of like here. I don't know that it's necessarily better, but I don't think that like Odyssey crushes it. But it has set like a new standard for me for what I'm going to
Yeah.
be expecting for like 3D adventure platforming games from Nintendo going forward.
Yeah.
Like the next Mario, it better have voice acting in it, you
Yeah,
know?
and it better have some interactivity as well, because what I liked a lot about Bonanza versus Odyssey was the world felt more like tactile and interactive, which was something that I feel like would not be able to work on Switch 1 at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so like I loved Bonanza. I know like, when we talked about Mario Kart World, it was a little controversial with the changes and everything like that. I love the knockout mode. The knockout mode is a lot of fun,
Knockout's
man.
good.
Yeah, that's been fun to
And
play with
and
friends.
yeah, and I think in like comparing it to 8 Deluxe, like in some ways we're looking at the Mario Kart World 1 year in versus Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, like after 10 years
Yeah,
uh,
on two
of
consoles.
time. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think like, if given a few years, we'll see where Mario Kart World is and like how it stands, next to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And then when you look at the rest of like that 2025 lineup, um, like so if you compare it to like Switch One's lineup, like your Splatoon 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and everything, we all love those games, and those were like what low 80s rated games compared to the next set of Nintendo's games, which Metroid Prime, Kirby Air Riders, um, Hyrule Warriors, which were on the high end of the 70s.
Yeah,
But for a lot of people, those were like a 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 level of game. So it's really like depending on how much you connected with the game might determine how you feel about the lineup. But
yeah.
so
The
you
the
take,
scores are relative, I guess. It depends on
yeah,
just how you feel about it, but almost like the same level of quality in that
yeah.
like tail end of the holiday, I guess.
Yeah. But then when you add on like, what else we got, like with having like a Hollow Knight Silk Song, Hades 2, Trails in the Sky, first chapter, for me, like having mainline Street Fighter back on a Nintendo platform with Street Fighter 6 was awesome. And then going on with Capcom, being able to play game like Resident Evil 9, Day and Date with the other platforms, Pragmata, which I think is a lot more Nintendo coded than people might think. Uh, and then having, even though they're ports, a Final Fantasy VII remake and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which are games that like a lot of us were wishing, hoping, and begging to have
Yeah.
on a Nintendo system, being able to play that caliber of game along with Nintendo's game. Like I had amazing game after amazing game after amazing game to play during
Yeah.
this first year of the Switch 2. So like, yeah, I didn't have that generational Breath of the Wild experience, but when I take it as a whole with all of the games that I've played this year, overall for me it was better.
I think, as you say, Switch 2 had the variety. It had a
Yeah.
lot of variety, and then it had the third party stuff, it had the upgrades, had the Switch 2 editions, it had the new stuff, and I still think Nintendo has that consistency. Like in Switch 1, they had the consistency. Like every month you're gonna have like this kind of game, or every other month you're gonna have this kind of game, and they still have that consistency, but I know a lot of people are saying like first half of this year, it's kind of like a lot of cozier kind of games like Mario, Tennis, Yoshi, Pokopia, games like that, Rhythm Heaven, Tamagotchi Life, but they still have the consistency. That's the thing. They still have the consistency. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Nintendo like severely dipped in quality," and I'm like, no, I don't think Nintendo severely dipped in quality. I don't. Then the Switch One has had down years. 2018 was a pretty down year until, for me personally, Torn of the Golden Country and then Smash Ultimate. So 2018 for Switch One, after the monumentally amazing 2017. If I judge it the way that people judge Switch 2, then 2018 probably was like the worst year ever. And I would probably be like, oh my god, Nintendo's over. Like it's over. Like, yeah. But 2019 was amazing because like even first half of 2019 was all right, but the second half of 2019 was like Link's Awakening, Luigi's Mansion, Fire Emblem, and then like other stuff happened then too, like Pokemon Sword and Shield, but that was a major disappointment to me, but that's whatever. But so Switch 1 had its up and down years, and that's very normal for a console. Switch 2 first year was pretty decent, and we'll talk about this soon, but I think the second half of this year and early next year is going to be where they like have their big guns. And a lot of us were like, oh, where's the direct? Where are the announcements? And I think like they wanted to hold back a bit, maybe just to polish some things up, make sure things are ready. And I think it's all going to come. But I also like what you said, Yig, about expectations, because with Switch 1, that first direct, or that first presentation of Switch 1 was so good that it made everyone be like, do you remember the Switch 2 direct predictions? Every single video game that someone wanted announced was
every franchise.
Every single game, and I'm like, everyone's going to be disappointed. Like, you can't so when it was a good show with a lot of good games and everyone was disappointed, I was like, you did this to yourself. Like, you did it to yourself. Like, obviously, with a new console being higher end, like, of course, new games will be on there, new good games will be on there, but not everything is going to be on there. We got a new guest here. ATB was lucky to join us today. You want to do a quick introduction, ATB?
Yeah. I'm Tap the Backlog, Nintendo-based content creator, I guess. And I usually do some videos, podcasts, news, interviews, sometimes leaks, sometimes wrong, sometimes right.
Sometimes, yeah. But yeah, happy to have you here. I haven't chatted with you on a voice call in a very long time. Yeah, but yeah, what do you think about year one? Can you believe it's been 1 year already? Like, what do you think of all the offerings, software, hardware, what the games have been like, what the experiences have been like? What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, I can't believe it's a year, first of all. That's insane to me. But I've been really, really happy with the first year. I was talking to, I don't know who it was, someone recently, and I've said this a few times, that for me personally, I actually have had more fun in the first year of Switch 2 than Switch 1.
Yeah.
Like even despite the fact we haven't had a Zelda or a brand new Splatoon, or I don't know, a Xenoblade or anything like ARMS, like Switch 1 had crazy first party every 6 weeks or so in the Switch 1. But the amount of third party games that I'm playing on Switch 2 is insane.
Yeah.
Like day one, Cyberpunk, and then stuff like Star Wars Outlaws, Resident Evil Requiem, Pragmata, Indiana Jones, Chronos.
Yeah, you're the huge Chronos guy.
Oh, best game on Switch 2. Game on Switch 2. The most amazing game. But there's so many in indie stuff. Like, I'm playing stuff just so often, like Akina, Bridge of Spirits.
Yeah.
Just so many games. So from that side, I've actually had even more fun. And what's insane to me is the idea that we still have like Zelda to come, the next Mario to come, the next Xenoblade to come, the next Splatoon to come, the next whatever else is going to come. We still have so much from Nintendo. Hasn't even been shown yet.
Yeah.
So at some point, probably year 2, they'll probably have that same kind of pattern they did with the year one of Switch One, where they'll have something big every 6 weeks or so. So, honestly, dude, like I always said from the beginning that I was unsure about, in the end, how many units Switch 2 would sell. I thought in my head maybe it would be kind of like the DS and 3DS scenario,
Yeah.
where the 3DS would sold about half as much, although I think
Yeah.
the Switch 2 will sell more. But at the end of the 3DS, I actually preferred the library of the 3DS to the DS.
Yeah, yeah.
And I always said that I was sure I would feel the same about the library of the Switch 2 in like 8 years' time.
I feel like that might be the case too, and even I feel like Switch 2 might have a more robust library, but I would be very, very happy and satisfied if it even hits like 100 million. That would be tough, especially
Absolutely.
with the price increase and with how
Yeah.
things are going right now. It'll be a little bit of a barrier of entry, but hitting 100 million will be a very big success. I don't think it'll outsell the Switch 1 at all. Like, Switch 1 is
Yeah.
on track to being the highest selling system of all time. I think it's going to beat the PS2. But I agree. I think the best is yet to come
Yes,
with the
absolutely.
Switch 2. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I
yeah.
think that the Switch 2 will be Nintendo's first back-to-back 100 million selling system.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Because after did we hit 100?
Yes.
Yeah, we hit
101,
100.
I think it's sold, right?
Okay.
101?
Okay.
Just
Well,
be 100.
well, technically,
yeah.
DS and Wii might have been back to back, but in terms of home console, yes, Switch and Switch
Yeah.
2 will be back to back. Yeah, because with home consoles, they have like a success, and then they have like they're always up and down. Yeah, because I don't remember what NES and Super NES were, but like they were pretty like successful. N64 was successful, but I don't think it like reached the highs of the PS1. GameCube.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
N64
GameCube was a
sold
huge
about-
dip from what I remember, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's really funny because GameCube has like such a beloved library of software, and the games are so
GameCube
good.
threw me off.
Yeah,
GameCube being a poor console like really threw me off because that was
Yeah.
like my late adolescent, like early teen
Mhm.
console, and like I don't know about metrics, I don't know about sales. Like to me, I'm like, this is a solid thing. Like look at all
Yeah.
these games I have of like so much different variety, and always threw me off that it sold on not too
Yeah,
well.
it's an incredible console. Incredible
Yeah.
console. And to be honest, there's a lot of people, even there's like really big people like Colin Moriarty, who's like, a very PlayStation guy now.
Yeah.
But I remember even him saying that the GameCube, in his opinion, had a better library than the PS2. And it's
No,
true.
yeah.
Like third-party stuff, like Resident Evil 4, what do you call it? Beautiful Joe 1 and 2,
Yeah.
Killer 7. They had insane
Soul
third-party.
Calibur.
two Zelda games, two
Yeah.
major Zelda games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GameCube was incredible. But yeah, but it sold like 22 million. It was.
You know
yeah,
what's
it's not
funny
really-
is the GameCube is the opposite of the Steam Deck, where like the GameCube is so beloved, you would have thought that it would sold so much more.
Yeah.
but
yeah.
but it didn't. Actually, no, it's not the opposite of the Steam Deck. It's almost the same as the Steam Deck, but in a different way. Because online, you would think the Steam Deck has like sold so much with how much people are
Yeah.
hyping it up, and then I
Yeah.
like realized that it hasn't sold that much, and I'm like, that is actually shocking that it didn't sell
Yeah.
that.
Sold as
it's-
much as the
it's crazy.
Wii U.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
It's crazy. It sold less than even the original Xbox. The original Xbox beat it by about 1 million. It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah, it was super bad. I think that was the point where it was like the starting point. It kind of started during the N64, but really with the GameCube, where loads of people were saying they should just drop out of the console race and make games instead, and that's why they pivoted and did the Wii,
The
right?
Wii.
Trying to chase the blue ocean theory and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But
Wii was interesting because I remember the first half of the Wii was very successful and like everyone loved it, and then I was a kid then, so I wasn't paying much attention to anything. And even at the end, like Skyward Sword, I was so hyped for it. I was so excited for everything Skyward Sword. But supposedly during the tail end of the Wii, the interest just kind of dipped.
Yeah.
People weren't like interested in it, like it wasn't
Yeah.
doing well and things like that. And then that kind of didn't help the transition into Wii U. So
Yeah.
understanding that now is very interesting because looking back at Switch 1 2024 was like, as I compared earlier, it was like a lighter year in the Switch 1 era, but it was still consistent moving into Switch 2. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Difference is that like with the Switch, they consistently had like once it hit that 100 million, they consistently had about 100 million people that were always playing
yeah,
on their Switches. So they had consistent momentum going.
yeah,
I feel like with the Wii, it was also a factor of novelty. The first
Yeah.
console to successfully hit off on motion control,
mhm,
and it brought in a much larger audience. It reached out to many more people than just the typical core audience, because this is suddenly something where we have a mechanical feature that appeals to every age, every generation. And that could be a part of why it slowed down after a few years. I mean, they had some gimmick games like
we fit.
We Fitness, We Fit, that brought back things for a little bit. But as the
All the
novelty began
grandmas
to
got
fade,
Wii Fit for that one game. They got the Wii, and then
Yeah.
after they played that, then they're like, "Yeah, we're done. We're done."
I still,
And they were just sitting
still
there.
have my Wii Fit port in my office,
Yeah,
and then
Yeah.
and then all of that, and then I could see why the novelty began to fade after several years, and then we
Yeah.
have a resurgence of that novelty, and also just Nintendo seemingly knowing exactly where to hit the mark when it comes to that, because after the Wii, we tried with Xbox Connect, we tried with other forms of motion, and none of them felt or landed just as well as somehow the Wii did. And then now we have a hybrid console that's perfect for at-home play or take it on the road. It's my Switch 1. I as much as I love playing on my Switch 2 and I moved everything over there, if I'm going on a vacation, I can still take like my Switch 1 and it'll still work just as nearly as well for many of those Switch 1 era games. Um, and it's very compact. It has such an affordability price, and at this point, Nintendo itself is a significant outlier in the whole of the market, if only just because it's the only place that truly retains hard exclusivity,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they're the only one that can make it work.
Absolutely.
So that is also definitely to the benefit of the Switch 1 and Switch 2.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was gonna say something, but I lost my train of thought.
I was gonna say it'd be funny, like, to see what, like Nintendo is so used to just going from one crazy invention to the other, and the Switch 2 is like the first time in a long time where they've just kind of stuck with the same idea. And it would be interesting to see if the Switch 2 sells, like you say, let's say 100 million. So it's still really good, but it's 50 million, 60 million less than the Switch 1. I wonder how that will affect what they do after the Switch 2.
With the Switch
like whether they say, okay, we'll stick with this and just do a more powerful Switch 3, or whether they'll have that itch to like really
get more creative.
reinvent things again.
I will
That'd be
say
interesting.
this.
And drop the hybrid.
Yeah, I don't think they can
now, that's the
because
thing, not now.
I love how in the January 2017 presentation, this is what I was gonna say, I remember now. In the January 2017 presentation, they were like, every console and system and handheld we did is leading up to Nintendo Switch. Every handheld we made, every console we made, we tried new things. Even the GameCube with the handle, the Wii with the motion controls, the dual screen and the touch screen with the DS, everything was leading, and then the Wii U gamepad, everything was leading to Nintendo Switch. So that's why when people are like, oh, Switch 2 needs to be so different and try something new, I'm like, don't do it. Like, don't shoot yourself in the foot. And but at the same time, Nintendo now is different from Nintendo back then. The Iwata era Nintendo is different from the Furukawa era Nintendo, so I'm curious to see how that will influence decisions moving forward and decisions for even the next generation. But that's like way into the future. But yeah.
And we're kind of seeing it, right? Because Furukawa, he's a finance guy.
Yeah.
So we literally went from Iwata, we went from Steve Jobs to Tim Cook. With Furukawa.
That's a very good example. Yeah, Steve Jobs is the way more creative minded person, whereas Tim Cook is the more like CEO minded. But
it might be that we just have little iterations, like with the Switch 2, we had the mouse control. right? They just like kind of just fine tune the Switch, and of course the camera, and we're seeing it how it's
Game
used in
chat.
Star Fox now in the game chat. Yeah, exactly, all that kind of stuff. I think maybe they'll keep the main core of what the machine is, but tweak things, add things where they can to make it different from the competition. You know, I think maybe that's what they'll do, because I do expect the Switch 2 to hit. I do think it'll hit 100 million. I was a bit worried before, but you know, you mentioned a good point, is that even though the price is higher, everyone else's prices are going up.
Oh yeah.
Right, so it's still keeping that distance, right? The PS5 has gone up in price, the Xbox, the PS6, who knows what that's going to cost. So despite the Switch 2 being more expensive than the Switch 1, it's still going to be a distant away from the more powerful consoles. And so that might help it in the long run actually keep selling. Whereas before, if it had been more or less the same price as a PS5 and so on, it would have found it harder. But the fact that they've got a nice little distance cushion price-wise between them and the competition, I think it will help it out in the future.
Yeah, it's still the cheaper alternative.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's so easy to forget now. But when I think back to it, like I remember even before the Switch 2 came out, and when the first rumors came out of CD, what do you call it, Cyberpunk coming out, people were saying one or two things. Either there's no way it could run Cyberpunk, or if it ran, it was going to be terrible. They've got it running at 40 FPS. They've got all the content. They've got content that wasn't playable on PS4.
PS4, yeah.
And then that happened with every game, right? Then we heard about Star Wars Outlaws. There's no way that's going to run on this. It's going to look terrible. Image-wise, it outdoes Xbox Series S in a bunch of ways. Runs super well. And then there was rumors about Requiem, and everyone said that's impossible. That's not coming. And if it does, it's going to be a horrible 30 FPS minus, maybe look terrible. It comes out, it's 1080p, and it runs at 60.
Yeah, and I remember some people were saying, oh, they played it docked on their TV, and people came over and they thought it was a PS5 version before they realized it was a Switch 2.
Yeah,
and absolutely. I remember when FF7 Rebirth came out on PC and Steam Deck, and I played it on Steam Deck, and I did not have a very good time with it. It looked very, 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 very bad. It looked like an N64 game. Like the faces looked like smudged together, and like it just looked terrible. Like I was not happy with it at all. Even when I like adjusted the settings and stuff, and everyone was like, oh, like it was not good on Steam Deck, even though it was verified. I was like, it should not have been verified, and people were like, this is not good for whenever the Switch 2 comes out, and if they want to put Rebirth and Remake on here. And I'm like, I don't think that's comparable. Like on a Steam Deck, on the Steam version, you're optimizing for so many like pieces of hardware. On the Switch 2, you're developing just for Switch 2, and then Remake came out and it was really good. Rebirth is supposedly now performing very well. It just released, and now Revelation was revealed to come out on Switch 2 day one, which is incredible. I didn't expect that, so it's very good news from Square Enix.
I feel like you knew the name before.
Yeah, a little bird told me, named Cloud Jr., or maybe his name was something else.
A little chocobo told you.
I messaged it to Nish, and he was like, the hell was that? I said, don't delete it, just leave it there. I'm gonna save it in case I need to use it in the future. And Nish was like so confused, like, is that the name? I was like, yes, but don't tell anyone, just keep it in the chat, I might use it.
Yeah, I told them the story about that, how you sent the Tifa gif, and I was like, wait, was there a tease in there? And then I was like, oh wait, Revelation. Yeah, but how's it poppin', guys? So my friend Upper Nimbus was supposed to join in on this discussion, but was unfortunately unable to. But he was still able to send over a segment with his Nintendo Direct predictions and what he thinks about the Switch 2 in its first year. So let's see what he has to say.
What's up, guys? Upper Nimbus here. Yeah, Nish, I'm so sorry that I could not join the podcast. I'll try and give you my little prediction. I do appreciate you still having me on board, even for a cameo. I'm sure you guys have talked about like the Ocarina of Time HD remake that we're probably getting. I definitely think we're getting that revealed at the Nintendo Direct happening next week, this week, however the dates align. But I definitely think that's happening. I mean, look, Nate the Hate, he talked about Star Fox and he talked about Ocarina of Time, and clearly we got the Star Fox game So, like, he's had a pretty good track record. I don't see why Ocarina of Time HD wouldn't be a thing now. It's been rumored for the longest time. I know Andres Restart has had the hugest belief in the game to be a thing, and I don't know, he's manifested it. He's honestly brought that game into existence. So, and Nate the Hate's basically confirmed it. So I think it's definitely happening. There's been some hints here and there. I also think that the Zelda movie is going to have really heavy ties between themes between Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time. And, if they are bringing back Ocarina of Time in a really big way, I think that having the HD remake is going to be a big deal. And I think we're going to see it in like less than a week. So that's probably my biggest prediction. It's a very safe prediction. Other things I want to talk about, I don't know if we're going to get this right, but I was actually talking to Papagenos. He used to do a lot of Smash Brothers speculation content. He's been out of the game for a while. So I want to give my credits to him because he was telling me, if I had the opportunity to share this in the podcast, that something to do with how Nintendo leaked Nintendo 64 games on the NSO a while ago, and how we've gotten things like Donkey Kong 64, which were part of the leaked games, and that was just announced the other day. But we still haven't seen anything on Smash Bros. 64. So what Papagenos is saying is that what if, potentially, when we get this direct presentation or some other presentation of the year, like the September Direct, what if, say, Sakurai just briefly appears on screen and announces Smash Bros. 64? So, like, what if they're saving Smash Bros. 64 NSO for a tie-in with a brand new Smash Bros. Announcement for the Switch 2? I don't really think we're going to be seeing that in this Direct, but I do think that's a possibility down the line, either later this year or even beginning of next year. But that's, 2 cents from Papagenos, because he was actually keen on joining, but he couldn't make the time. Anyway, so there's that. But I also think that probably more realistic expectations would be, I don't know if we're going to get these games this year, but I think we'd need at least 1 or 2 like big announcements for like next year. Maybe one big announcement, but also something a little bit more moderate. So this would be exciting, but I don't know if it would be really massive. But I do think we're overdue for Luigi's Mansion 4. I don't think Next Level Games has been working on anything, since Mario Strikers on the Nintendo Switch? And that's been a few years now. Is it like 3 years or something? So I think we're due to see Luigi's Mansion 4. I think an announcement they could do the really quick turnaround October release date for Halloween. Nintendo's been doing that a lot lately with 2-month gaps between announcement and release. So we could see Luigi's Mansion 4 around Halloween. But if not, they could have an announcement for it and then the game comes out next year sometime. And then say for another like really big announcement that would get people really excited. To me, personally, obviously it has to be something from Monolith Soft. I think seeing the next Xenoblade, and I think it is Xenoblade. I really think it is Xenoblade Chronicles 4. I think that they want to move forward, and without spoiling things, they want to bring the franchise together, if that makes sense. And I think they want to really continue beyond that first saga in Xenoblade Chronicles 1 to 3. It'll be a completely different saga, but I think that there will be tie-ins, and I'm pretty sure it is Xenoblade Chronicles 4. I don't think they want to get rid of that branding or naming for the series. And also, the only other thing that would make sense would be a brand new Mario 3D. I think they could totally, even with Ocarina of Time HD, because that's a remake, for something that's brand new, that we really want to see, I think a teaser for the next 3D Mario is in order. It's like E3 time. It's the perfect time of the year to be announcing your heavy hitter. So the brand new Mario 3D, they should announce that. We can get the game next year, but they should announce it this year. And then the only other thing that's obviously realistic is we'll get a release date for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. I'm very excited for that, and I'm sure you guys are too. And that's pretty much everything. Sorry if I've rambled for like 5 minutes, but I just, want to get my thoughts in there. Credits to Papagenos. Thanks, Nish, for having me on, even as a little silly, sick cameo. And looking forward to watching the whole video, man. And Everybody who isn't subscribed to Nish and the other guys in the podcast, seriously, can you like show them some love? Subscribe to everybody. Like, they're awesome dudes. Anyway, I'll catch you later. See ya.
Thank you so much for sending that over, Nimbus, and be sure to give his videos a watch and subscribe to his channel. It'll be linked down in the description below. I guess.
But yeah.
After everything we talked about Switch 2, we were always teasing the future of what's to come next. So I guess we can finally talk about the exciting predictions of possibly next week's Direct. Possibly, but most likely. Everyone is saying Tuesday. I hope it's Tuesday. I was telling Yig and Justin, like, it better be on Tuesday because Wednesday and Thursday I am like ultra busy. Like I have like really big things to do on Wednesday and Thursday, but Tuesday I would be like super ready to react to it and scream about OOT remake if it's everything I wanted it to be or everything I didn't want it to be. But
Yeah.
Nintendo Direct predictions, and I guess predictions for 2027 games and beyond. What do you guys think?
Supposed to go.
27 and beyond. Well,
Yeah, what do you think,
I
Justin?
think that with the second half of 26 and going into 2027, I think that's where Nintendo starts to move on from the cozy to the core, and they're going to start hitting us with those big core franchises. So I don't think it's not coming out this year, right? But I'm predicting that we will see what Monolith has been cooking up, and that it will be coming out in 2027.
Oh, we see it next week. Oh my god. I was not expecting to see it next week, but like I haven't like mentally prepared myself for a Monolith Soft announcement yet. But if it
hope so.
comes and like it just like comes out of nowhere, I'll freak out.
Yeah.
I'm still a little skeptical. I expect to see that not this Direct, but the next Direct.
September. I can see that.
I would think a September Direct, but if they want to be like, hey, this is everything we have, here's like us showing our big guns, then yeah, like they gotta show Monolith Soft. Or like if some people feel like Monolith Soft is working with the Zelda team, they still might be there in some kind of capacity. But yeah.
I don't feel they also have to they have to spend a long time and get Monolith Soft news out, because for the last few entries, there's been a very short window between announcement to release, and with them even bumping up the release of Xenoblade 3. And then a similar thing happened with Xenoblade X, where it was a relatively short announcement to release window. What was it, like 5 or 6 months? Like
it was October to March.
So I feel like if they want to set that up, if they have plans to set up a Monolith entry for a holiday release, which I don't feel that they would go for that, but they could definitely set it up for a September announcement and have it brought out early Q 2027. I think that would be something that they would want to go for. And in the meantime, you know, Yoshi just came out. We still have Splatoon Raiders. We still have Fire Emblem Holding. Everybody is going to be avoiding October like the plague this year. And so that leads me to feel like, well, they need still a solid holiday entry. And that might be where they choose to slot in something more core, something that they know everybody's going to pick up. Not simply something maybe like a new Mario Party, because we still need a new Mario Party. Yeah, we have Jamboree Ultimate, whatever edition it was called. But something like that, something that would appeal to a wider audience that is also core, to really hit off on this holiday entry. And that might be where we start hearing whispers of like some new Mario entry or something similar. I really don't know what to expect beyond the current announcements, and that's sort of what is exciting me, because I know this first party is going to be somewhere along the way, but it's the primary core first party that could be anywhere from 5 or 6 months odds out to a reasonable 2027 announcement, or a 2027 release, excuse me. So I'm stumped. I expect whatever we see is going to be a continued expansion on third party
Yeah.
with more touch-ups on not their core franchises, but as you're saying, the cozy, or maybe
Interesting.
not the most fully recognized, but we'll still be continuing to see that. I would be interested to see, because there's been such a love for these groups that have fallen off to the wayside with Metroid, with DK, with Yoshi. I'm curious to see if we're going to continue to see that trend, in addition to them saying, okay, it's time, let's start lifting the barriers on our main big hitters as well.
Mhm.
So I, more than ever, I'm stumped as to what I'm going to see next week, but I know it's not going to be something altogether unpleasant or altogether disappointing.
Yeah.
With recent directs, even with the most recent direct, I had to look at it and I say, this isn't a bad direct by any means. They're touching on things a lot of people will want to play. And of course, it just all winds up to like, where's the heavy hitter? It's been a year, Nintendo. Where's the heavy hitters? Like, where, like, something, just say something.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw this, right? Nintendo, he often just
Yeah.
puts a little thing out there and doesn't say anything about it. And
Yeah.
he did post something like earlier saying that Monolith Soft's been awfully quiet lately.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's good
I
to see
saw
it.
that and I was like, he teased X Definitive Edition, and someone else who may or may not be here right now also teased X Definitive Edition as well. But yeah, and shortly after the Switch 2 edition was announced. But my thing is, with when he said Molotov has been awfully quiet lately, I was like, yeah, they've been quiet in terms of new games, but at the same time, we had XDE Switch 2 edition, and I have so much to say about XDE, and that's why I'm like, I want a new Molotov game. I want a new Xenoblade game. I want a new IP or whatever, but I want it to be announced when people are like, I'm ready, but I want like that Xenoblade XDE Switch 2 edition, like I want people to experience that more. I want us to be like ready for the next Xenoblade thing. That's all I'm gonna say. But in terms of like what's happening in the direct, or like a Molotov reveal, I don't know if they want to overshadow Fire Emblem. So I think Fire Emblem is going to like, I hope the direct starts with Fire Emblem, huge overview trailer, story, gameplay, what's new, what the like daily life is going to be like, are there route splits, what is the story set up, because this is going to be a very story-focused game. It's going to be very, very story-heavy. If it's going to be similar to Three Houses, it's not going to be silly and goofy like Engages. It's going to take itself very seriously, and I'm very, very, very excited for that. So this is a very big deal release for Switch 2. It may not sell as well as like a Mario Kart or a 3D Mario or anything like that, or even a Bonanza, but for people who are looking for a narrative story focused experience, and for the JRPG fans, like I know a lot of people in the JRPG community who are like, I'm getting a Switch 2 now before the price increase, before Fire Emblem, because I want to play the new Fire Emblem game. So that's going to be a really big deal. I'm very excited for everything involving that game. I have a feeling it might hit the September slot where every game is kind of like chalked into. Hopefully it doesn't like, hopefully that doesn't hurt it. If it's early September, that will be good, because everything right now is late September. If it's early September, that's good for the game, and it's good for me, because that's when my birthday is, so it'll be a nice birthday present. And so, in that sense, I don't know if Monolith Soft will be at the June Direct, and I'm also, right now, not convinced of Xenoblade 2 Definitive Edition or Switch 2 Edition yet. I think it will happen, but I don't know if it'll be announced so soon, because that was just a Nate the Hate prediction. He was always like, oh, like in the first prediction episode he did, he was like, oh, Monolith Soft could have a Switch 2 edition or an upgrade like a Xenoblade 2, and then a month or so later, then XDE was announced for Switch 2. So I was like, oh, maybe that's what he was hinting at. And then he said it again. He was like, oh, maybe a Xenoblade 2 Definitive Edition, Switch 2 Edition, something like that. So I was like, he's not definitively saying it like how he did for Star Fox or Ocarina of Time or something. But I think, like, the big heavy hitter game we'll see, of course, is Ocarina of Time. We'll get into that later. My toss-up right now is if we see a tease of the 3D Mario game. Because like if they want to show it, now is a good time to show it, because they could like reveal it in June, release it in like March, but I don't know, because I do think we'll see a lot of 2027 games at the show, but I don't know what they will be. Like the main thing, of course, Fire Emblem's going to be there. Xenoblade or Monolith Soft will be a nice surprise. Zelda is kind of definitive, wherever that'll slot in, October, November, wherever. But I don't know if we will see like a major 2027 game, because if they show Mario, that's going to overshadow everything else. It's going to overshadow Zelda. It's going to overshadow... That's my thing. I was like, if you have Ocarina of Time, then maybe don't show 3D Mario because you don't want to overshadow Ocarina of Time. But, or maybe they just want to show both because they're that ambitious. What do you guys think?
Mario's also so big that they don't need to put Mario in a general direct.
Yeah.
They can create their own specific direct for Mario.
Yeah.
And which they've done time and time again. And they can just lead it up to with a special opening announcement. If they want to avoid that overshadowing problem, they have complete power and ability to put Mario separate. That's the thing. But that is a good point, because like, where would you slot a brand new Mario? Just because it would just be such a momentous thing.
Yeah. So here's an interesting point. Like, you know, if you listen to like Kit and Krista, they often talk about what is the goal and job of the direct that's coming up.
Yeah.
So is the goal of this direct to be to convince as many people as possible to get the Switch 2 before the price increase? Or is maybe like a September direct the one to show people why they should still get one, even though it is $500?
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good thing to consider.
So like, I think with this one, they probably want to show people, give them some good reasons as to like, okay, the price increase is coming, but you want to get in on that Switch 2 now because we got all of this coming up for the rest of the year, and maybe some one or two early next year games.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think this will be short term with a few teases for what's coming up next, but we'll see. What do you think, ATB? What do you think we'll see?
God, you can tell I'm not quite on even. I think the little I've heard is that it's I've heard that the third party stuff is very powerful, like very potent apparently. I think unless it gets shown before, I would guess that Onimusha will be shown, unless it gets shown before, like if it gets shown today or tomorrow behind the scenes or gets announced like Monster Hunter did. But as far as I know,
I think they'd want to do that. If it's coming to Switch 2, I think they'd want to do it in the direct, because they did that for Resident Evil, and I don't remember if Pragmata was at the partner showcase. It might have been. But they had major like showings for
I'm trying to think
all the Capcom games that have come to Switch 2 at their directs.
So I expect that. Well, I would guess for that to be there for sure. That's an interesting one. The first thing I've ever heard about it was that initially when they were working on it, the development was quite challenging. But like initially, but then everything after that apparently it was running super smooth. Like it was really, really like plain sailing. So I expect that to show up. I expect stuff from Microsoft to finally show up. So I expect to see Doom again. If it's not shown this week, and I expect Doom Dark Ages
Yeah,
to
that might
show
even be
up.
there tomorrow. We're recording
That's
this on
the thing.
Saturday. Xbox shows tomorrow, so we might get a
Exactly.
tease tomorrow, and then more
Exactly.
details at the direct. Yeah.
Yeah, I think even if it gets announced tomorrow, I think it'll still show up at a direct anyways. I think maybe we'll see some Call of Duty. I expect it to be very,
Oh yeah,
very.
Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we'll
think
see like first time like Switch 2
Yes.
footage of Call of Duty. Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess that. I think we'll get a bunch of Switch 2 editions. There's obviously the Pikmin 4 Switch 2 edition
Yes.
being rumored a lot. I haven't heard anything about it.
That was
but
another Nintendo
believe it.
tease.
Yeah, it was exactly. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
fully believe that. I think it might be a bit too early, but for sure the Resident Evil remakes are coming out this year.
Oh, yeah.
2, 3, and 4. They're definitely
Yeah.
this year.
That would be cool.
But I don't know if they'll show it this direct or like a September direct maybe. Because in my head I assume would they come out around Halloween time? You know,
Oh, October, yeah.
kind of makes sense. Maybe not all of them. So maybe we do see 1 or 2 of them in this direct, and then 4 in September. I don't know. But I expect Capcom to definitely be there. Maybe we see Monster Hunter footage there. And then Nintendo stuff is interesting. I do believe, I haven't heard anything obviously myself about Ocarina, but I do believe it. I believe like Nash Widow has been talking about it since 2022, and then obviously Nate the Hate, right, is confirmed it as well. So
I didn't believe it until Nate the Hate said
when he said it,
because
I was like,
everyone was saying it for years now, like Ocarina of
Yeah.
Time remake, what if, and all the teases and like Tears of the Kingdom and Age of Imprisonment and Aonuma teasing it. I'm like, I'm in denial. No, I don't want it. But then when Nate planted the idea in everyone's mind, he said, "Hey, it's happening." I'm like, oh god, it's actually happening, and like, I kind of have to.
And he
like,
said
prepare myself
remake,
for it.
not remaster, remake, which was
Yeah,
really important.
remake.
From the
because-
ground up remake.
Exactly, because one of the first conversations I had with Nash about it, he mentioned to me that he had heard that they were looking. This was like about a year ago. When he first heard about it, they were looking at the art style and maybe changing the art or playing with the art style in some way. And then when Nate the Hate said remake, so it's from the ground up. I'm starting to wonder. I wonder how ambitious the remake is.
Yeah.
Right. If it's a Final Fantasy type remake,
no.
that kind of budget, it might. If it's that, I don't know. If it is that, then and they add voice acting and they expand Hyrule and add missions with different characters and all this kind of stuff, then I can for sure see that being the holiday game.
Yeah.
And I've said before, they should release it if it's a big budget remake. I've said it. They should release it in the same month of GTA. I don't care what anyone says, and they should release it on the same day.
I've talked about this.
Fools, Nintendo.
I've talked about this with my friends because I was like, I don't think the audience will overlap too much. So if they do it in November, I think they'll be all right. I think they'll be fine.
I'm making a video on this right now. I'm gonna upload it tonight or tomorrow morning. The amount of research I've done on this, like I looked at every game that ever released at the same time as GTA 5 on PS3, PS4, loads. I looked at how much they sold, loads. I looked at how much Nintendo. I had Nintendo released games in the same month as GTA before. They had Wind Waker, Smash Brothers, Pokemon.
Okay.
In the same month. And they all sold loads. And then you have to keep in mind, like you said, those audience don't cross.
Yeah,
and
I know, yeah.
Unlike those other games, whatever, FIFA, Call of Duty, that sell X amount over different platforms, Nintendo's games, those big hitters, sell crazy numbers on a single platform.
Yeah.
Right? So Breath of the Wild, 35 million. Animal Crossing, 50 million. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, over 71 million, more than any one copy of GTA 5.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then we're not even talking about Japan, where GTA doesn't do anything. GTA in Japan, GTA 5 in Japan has sold over on the PS3 and PS4 1.6 million, I think. Splatoon 3 sold 7 million in Japan. So, a Breath of the Wild, an Ocarina of Time, it's not going to sell what GTA 6 does. No one's saying that.
Yeah.
But GTA 6 is not going to stop Ocarina from selling whatever it was always going to sell, 20 million, 30 million. It's not going to affect it. So to me, Nintendo should be like, bam, November, Ocarina of Time, ground up remake of the highest rated game of all time, what? That's what they should do.
You know what it'll be like? You know how like in the movies, if like a movie is like releasing on the same day, like they had the Barbenheimer thing. So it would be like that. And like what?
100%.
And Pikmin 4. Oh yeah, Pikmin 4 will release on the same day as Oppenheimer and Barbie in the movie theaters. And then
it was like Animal
another
Crossing.
example was a Doom and Animal Crossing on the same day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be
Yeah.
like something like that.
Absolutely. And dude, do you imagine the headlines that would cause in the marketing where every publication, IGN or whatever, they just put Breath of the Ocarina of Time in the limelight because they're going to be
It'll
like GTA versus
benefit.
Ocarina. It's going to be everywhere. So
Not gonna hurt
as much as
Zelda
people-
at all. Yeah.
No.
Exactly. As much as people want to say, "Oh no, everything's going to be overcrowded with GTA 6. You're not going to be able to look at your TikTok without it being GTA 6." No. If they announce Ocarina for the same month as GTA, it's going to get mentioned everywhere. Everywhere. You know, so
But there's also like parents that are going to be buying gifts for their children. They aren't going to be buying their children GTA 6.
yeah.
You know?
The other thing as well, and I have no idea, it's just a theory I was toying with, but we know that Monolith works on every Zelda game, and I wonder if Ocarina will be Nintendo and Monolith's just doing kind of side stuff, or whether this will be the one that actually Monolith takes on like a big responsibility.
So what
you
a
know,
lot
and-
of people are saying, and Yig, you probably know about this too. They have their own website now for Monolith Soft Division 2. So, okay, from what I
Yes.
remember, I was talking to my friend about this. Monolith Soft has multiple divisions. They have the Xenoblade Division, which is Team 1 with Takahashi, and it's split into like subdivisions who work on new RPGs, remasters, definitive editions, Switch 2 editions, all that within that Xenoblade Takahashi division. Division 2 is Zelda, only Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, and Legend of Zelda games. So, and now this division, Zelda division, has their own website and their own like hiring division and hiring pages. And then Division 3 is Monolith Soft Kyoto, which is not affiliated with Zelda, but Monolith Soft Kyoto does
Full support group.
support for first party like Animal Crossing, Splatoon, and other various games. Division 4 is new, which is R&D. Only works on R&D and new game engines and new technology and things like that. So they're a freaking massive company now. And if they have that Zelda team, like if they get like EPD3's blessing and they're like, hey, make your own Zelda game, I'd be interested to see what it is. If it's the Ocarina of Time remake, I'm interested to see how they do it. On top of that, if it is assisted by EPD3 in some way, that would be
Yes.
nice to see as well. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, there was still the interview from a few months ago where basically the final question is like, what in one of the final statements of the Monolith Soft Legend of Zelda interview, they hinted at the idea of Monolith Soft contributing to a brand new Zelda entry from the groundwork up.
That's it.
As opposed to all the prior times Monolith Soft has been helping out since Skyward Sword, where they come in not relatively late, but they work side by side, but they don't really touch the base building blocks as they are there to help support and make sure things look smooth or run smooth, etc. But this will be the first time, if this statement is to be taken word for word, this will be the first time where Monolith Soft has direct contribution on a Zelda entry from its basic building blocks and conception.
That's very exciting. I'm curious to
Is
see if
it-
there's like Xenoblade DNA in there. I don't think so, because I don't know if that team is going to, like, I don't know if that Zelda team worked on Xenoblade or has worked on Xenoblade or will ever work on Xenoblade unless there's like some internal transitions. But I will say this is my prediction. I do think Monolith would help with this remake. I think they'll have a very big involvement, but that has no effect on their new RPG, whatever's coming next.
Yeah.
Whether it is a new IP or Xenoblade 4 or I think whatever Project Legacy is, I still think that's coming. I very much believe that Project Legacy still exists. I just don't know if it's a new IP or if it's Xenoblade 4. That I'm kind of in a toss-up on that. But yeah, what were you saying, ATV?
Oh, I was just thinking because I keep forgetting about this, and it's like no one's mentioning it. But we've had the Switch 2 for a year, right? And we have not heard a single word from Platinum Games. Nothing about Platinum Games. You know, and I think like that's insane. Like a whole year and not even a hint of what they're doing next. So it's like
we did hear about them yesterday at Summer
We heard
Game
about them
Fest.
yesterday, but not for Switch 2. Well, unless it's coming out on Switch 2. It's an
But not an exclusive game. So no Astral Chain or Bayonetta yet.
Exactly. And so I gotta think that we're gonna hear something from them. Like there has to be. Well, but then we don't know if they're being affected by all the people that left, right?
So Kamiya and a lot of the core Astral Chain and Bayonetta people are now with Clovers. So
Exactly.
I'm curious to see if Clovers will continue those IP or if Platinum will. But the thing is, Nintendo owns the IP of Astral Chain.
Yep.
So they
and the combat as well. They got a patent on the combat of Astral Chain as well. Yeah. So like, and apparently like Nintendo is like they supposedly really love that franchise. Like they really want to push it forward. So
that was a fun game.
Oh,
I just have to wonder what Platinum Games looks like internally right now, because there's been the fallouts, and we know that a lot of senior staff have had opposing views, or some of them have even just straight up left. And yet we see Platinum Games mentioned yesterday with the Game Awards. So we're like, to what degree is that the Platinum Games that we as Nintendo players know?
Yeah. It's like retro, right? Like after Prime 2 maybe, but definitely after Prime 3, loads of their members left, you know, and retro today, which is why they hired so many for Prime 4. They had to hire so many people. It's not really the same company, and I have the same worry about like who exactly is Platinum Games today. You know, that is a big worry.
Know. Do you know who JP Kellum is? Have you seen him on Twitter?
Sounds familiar.
No, it sounds familiar, but
yeah, he used to work at Platinum.
Okay.
And he did comment on the last Ronin being made by them, and he wasn't happy about it. Basically, he said that the old guard at Platinum, like your Camillas and all of that, like they did not want to, and they hated working on licensed games.
Okay.
So seeing Platinum take on this licensed game let him know that the spirit of the old Platinum is no longer there.
Interesting.
So I don't know what that would mean for the Platinum that works with a Nintendo.
Yeah, I wonder who Nintendo will partner with, because I know like Okami 2 is the thing. Clovers is working on it. If that doesn't come to Switch 2, then that's like it's obviously coming to Switch 2. I 100% believe it's coming to Switch 2. But I wonder what the future of Bayonetta and Astral Chain will look like, and who is going to work on them.
Yeah, so, and I wonder if Nintendo will eventually give it to someone else to do.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if they'll say, like, Platinum's not the same, we'll pass it on to another studio. That would be interesting.
Because people have done that. Like IP holders have given their IP to other people. And that's what some people want. Like my Halo friends, my PC friends are like, give Halo to id Software and get it away from 343 or something. And I'm like, okay, that would be interesting.
Yeah. I also wonder, I don't know if it would be this direct or the next one, but I feel like we might see a 2D Metroid as well.
Do you think it's a Super Metroid remake?
That's the rumor.
I
would be excited, but I kind of want them to kind of continue down the Dread.
I want
route.
Metroid 6. I want Metroid 6.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Super Metroid remake would be nice, but there was that rumor of like this one YouTube comment which was like, that was predicting a lot of what Nate the Hate said before his podcast, and then he was like, another Star Fox game is coming on the horizon, plus Super Metroid remake and some other things. I don't know if I believe that, but at the same time, I do firmly believe that Metroid 6 is in development within Mercury Steam, but also I'm curious to see what it looks like, because Mercury Steam was hit with layoffs recently.
Yeah.
So hopefully that was because of non-Nintendo games that they're working on. We'll see. Because I know they're working on
Yeah.
things outside of Nintendo and Metroid and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think we might see some other Zelda stuff as well.
Yeah.
I do think we'll see. I don't know if.
Do you think we're gonna expect any more Game Boy or even DS era game like Zelda's be remade?
I guess that's the question. Will they kick off the Zelda 40th at this point?
Exactly. So like I had heard about, I think back in January, about 2D Zelda, and then I know Nash heard about it afterwards also, and he spoke about it, and I think if I remember rightly, he said he expects it to release in the end of 2027. I think that's what he said. I got given a quarter, but I don't know if what I heard was a release date or a reveal date. But I heard about 2D Zelda, but I don't know if it's meant to be a remake or a brand new thing. There's loads of rumors about the code name and whether that's a link to it being a Ganon game.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that, because I just don't know if Nintendo would do that. It would be amazing.
I don't know if I like the idea of a Ganon game being 2D. I like the idea of a Ganon game, but I don't know if I want it to be 2D, and I do not want it in the freaking Link's Awakening style. That would look so goofy.
Me either.
It looks so goofy for a Ganon game.
Yeah, but maybe because like to kick off the Zelda 40th, maybe they give a tease. I do, it's a guess, but I do guess that we'll see some kind of reveal of a 2D Zelda maybe this year, but I don't know which direction.
So,
but if they're gonna kick off
what
with
I
the Zelda
believe.
stuff.
So you know how there are some directs, or most famously E3 2021 direct, they ended with the Zelda segment. They're like Aonuma came on and he was like, oh, I have some things to show to you. And then he had Age of Calamity DLC, Skyward Sword HD, and then he came back and he's like, what do you think? And everyone's like, oh my god, like we need Breath of the Wild 2. And then he showed the Game & Watch and we are like, please shut up, show us. And then we finally got the Breath of the Wild 2, but now Tears of the Kingdom next look. But I think that's what we're gonna get in this direct. I think we're gonna get so much stuff in the first, like, 75% of the direct, or 80% of the direct. Last 20% is going to be Zelda 40th anniversary stuff. And I think it'll be like maybe a tease of 2D Zelda. Hopefully, freaking Wind Waker Twilight Princess, like, please.
That's it.
Like, if they want to do it, now is the time, now is the year.
Yeah.
If not, then it's freaking over. Like, and Nintendo needs to do it. Like, they need to do it. Because, I don't know, I was saying Xenoblade X takes priority. Put Xenoblade X on Switch first, then Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Now Xenoblade X is there, it's got a Switch 2 edition. Where's Wind Waker and Twilight Princess? Just give us the same treatment that Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 got last year. Put it on Switch 1, give us Switch 2 upgrades, like, call it a day. Bundle it together, just do it, please. I'll get it. But, and then, I don't know if I want this at the Direct, but I kind of hope they tease it and say, like, here's a trailer next week or like a little bit later, Zelda movie. Announce who's playing Ganon, tell us it's Idris Elba or Javier Bardem or whoever, and tell us, like, Ganon casting, official Impa casting. We already know who Impa is, but give us the official Impa casting. King of Hyrule casting, Tingle casting, tell us it's Michael Cera or whoever. Like,
do you think they would burn time at the Direct for it, though?
I don't want them to. But they have before. In September 2022, they revealed the Mario or 2021 or 22. September 22, I think. They revealed the Mario casting. I'm like, dude, just don't do this in the Direct. Don't waste time doing this in the Direct. Like, do it later or whenever, right? I feel like they also sort of did in the last September Direct for Mario's 40th anniversary. They teased Mario Galaxy and stuff. So I would say show the cast, don't show a trailer and be like, the trailer will be shown on this day, and get us hyped for the trailer. And then after that, we have one more announcement. Here is what it is, and that's Ocarina of Time remake. So,
oh god, the thing is, Like, I was thinking, like, could they show Mario as well? And it's the thing, you know what it is, man, is that I always let myself get too hyped for these directs, and then halfway through the presentation, you realize, oh, it's not going to be.
Yeah, and then you look at the time, you're like, oh, we have this much time left.
yeah,
I always look at the time. My God.
You can fit 4 games in 6 minutes. but I do look at the fact that they obviously knew it was a massive deal when they had to up the price, right? And like Justin said, Furukawa did have that whole speech about how, listen, like, we feel bad about this. We're gonna make it up to you by showing you, you know, the future, by showing you the games that we're working on, right? Like, he made a point to come out and say that. And part of me does think that this direct, they're going to be looking to do that. And that's going to mean, unlike the past ones where they show you the next 6 months, I do think that's going to force them to show you games earlier than maybe they wanted to convince people who haven't bought yet that it's going to be worthwhile in the long run. And I do think the best way to do that, I do think, is Mario, because Ocarina is going to take care of itself. Like that comes out. I don't think it's even necessarily going to shadow it. Initially, yes, right, because everyone's going to talk about Mario. But if Zelda's correct, and it does come out in November, the media's going to take care of talking about Zelda anyways. Yeah. And I do think it's not so. You shouldn't worry too much about one game getting overshadowed over the idea that Mario getting potentially millions more people to invest into a Switch. I think the pros and cons weigh much more in the favor of showing Mario as well. So, like, I want to let myself believe that we'll see a Mario teaser, and I am kind of going more towards that because I think they have to. I think now they have to. The holiday season is going to be here around the corner. I don't know if you want to wait till September to show Mario. I don't know. I don't know.
That is a good point.
They're aware, right, that Ocarina, as big as it's going to be big to people who have played Ocarina in the past. Right? I don't know how. I don't know how wide that reach is, and I think Nintendo will know that. And I think, you know, Mario has just come off 2 movies that have made over $1 billion. Like, everyone knows Mario, right? And so the smart thing, I think, would be to show Mario, I think.
So I'm with you. I know we've been saying, like, they might want to hold stuff for a September direct, but if anything that we've seen, like, over this past year, and even with, like, the reveal of the Switch 2 and everything, is that this Nintendo hasn't been following the same patterns as previously.
You're right.
So what's to say that we're going to get that September direct, right?
Well,
you're right. You're right. And their reveals to release is a lot different now. It's either very short, like Star Fox, very short, or Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem, we have a freaking 8-month gap now. It's a massive gap, which is unprecedented for, like, a JRPG. Like, I don't remember what it was like for Three Houses, but Xenoblade 3 was reveal, then a few months later, another trailer, which was, like, pushing the game forward, and then another direct, and then a lot more trailers and TV spots. So it was like one after the other. So that's why I was, like, wondering, like, why aren't they showing more for Fire Emblem? But I think you're right. Their marketing style has kind of changed up a bit. Yeah.
I wonder what, like, the... You know, usually there's, like, a like, kind of massive third-party surprise, you know, like a big one. And I wonder if there will be one. And I wonder if we'll see something like Crimson Desert or something being announced. Like something...
Doesn't Kiwi say he has hopes that his WTF game will be announced soon?
Yeah. I
still no idea what that could be.
I think I know what it is. Okay. I think I do. Yeah. I think I do.
Want to say?
No, but do you know why? Because it's not my information.
Okay.
But it's something I heard, and I was like, oh, okay. And so I think
you know,
if it's correct, and I think I know what it is. Yeah.
My pie in the sky dream, which is not gonna be what. Well, what's up, Yig?
Well, I was curious, so I looked it up. And apparently, for as far as Three Houses pre-release info was, I forgot that. So the game was initially first talked about in early 2017.
Yeah, they're like, Fire Emblem is in development for Nintendo Switch. In the Fire Emblem Direct, the first
we know there's a new Fire Emblem. Went a year and a half without any new info, And then when they finally got concrete info, it was still another 6 months.
And they delayed the game too.
For more info, and then it was delayed.
Yeah.
So from first aspect to its actual release was a 2-year window.
Oh, okay.
And
So we're doing better. We're doing fine. With
we're
the
doing
Switch.
better.
And that Three Houses
We're
had a
skipping that
very-
first little bit.
Yeah, Three
So
Houses
it's
had a
the-
very rocky development cycle. Very, very rocky. I don't even know how
Right.
that game released in the state that it did, and it's like I don't know how they wrote that game. Like the writing process for the game, I have no idea how they did it because Koei Tecmo developed the whole game, and I'm like, how did I just don't understand how they did it. Like,
But to be honest, like from your reaction, I thought something really bad happened. I was like,
No. I was
I
just
thought something leaked.
I was like it was more for me because I was like, what do you mean it was 2 years?
Yeah.
Like it didn't feel like 2 years. What?
Yeah.
I'm like, is that like that surely that can't be a notion of what to expect going forward with this game. Like we're in a whole
think
different generation.
I don't think people are saying, oh, it's going to be delayed, whatever, and I'm like, no, the game is already rated. It's not going to get delayed.
Yeah.
I highly doubt it's going to get delayed.
Right.
Plus, the
But-
difference was they were working with the Switch One hardware, so they were having a little bit more of a hard time. So they have more headroom with the Switch 2.
And I think Three Houses started as a 3DS game, so they had to
3DS.
completely transition over to Switch One, and yeah, IS wasn't doing like I didn't realize that it was mostly Koei Tecmo versus IS, and IS was more involved with Engage than they were with Three Houses. So I'm hoping that if this is still Koei Tecmo, IS has a lot more involvement in this, because from the looks of it, art style wise, graphics wise, visuals and things like that, it looks like Intelligent Systems is still heavily involved in it. But for the WTF game, my pie in the sky thing that is not going to be real, it's not going to happen, but it would be hilarious, is if they announce Duskbloods and be like, Duskbloods is here, here's what Duskbloods is, and then they're like, but we have one more thing, and then they reveal Bloodborne Remastered for Switch 2, and then they're like, if you pre-order Duskbloods, you can get Bloodborne bundled in or whatever. And I'm like, if that happens, I will literally, like, I'll lose my voice.
Yeah, I was hoping it was Horizon. I think for the theory that everyone kind of had, right? That, but they bought the Lego game, so it must be Horizon. But obviously, it's
I
different, right?
really did think Horizon was going to come to Switch 2, but here's the thing. Do you remember when God of War Sons of Sparta or Son of Sparta was announced, like the 2D Metroidvania? There was a lot of like legitimate people saying this is probably coming to the Switch 2. I've heard it's coming to the Switch 2, but then Sony suddenly was like, no more multiplat, no more PC, no more nothing. So I think they just like canceled those, pulled the plug on those projects. So we'll see.
I'll tell you, I just thought of something like that. Maybe it's like a wild guess, but obviously we've had the rumored remake of Karina. We've got the remake of Star Fox. Like we have a saying in Spain. They say there's no 2 without 3.
Yeah.
So like, what if there's another N64 remake and something like
Wave Race, baby.
Wave Race, exactly. Like I could see them bringing another N64 remake, like a bit of a smaller title. That would be cool.
I remember you
This is
and Chris were talking about that with the water physics and the graphics and all.
In Star Fox, because there's a moment in Star Fox I was talking to someone about, and it seems like loads of people had the same reaction at the exact same point of the trailer. I can't remember which level it was, but there's a certain level where the water looks incredible, and
Yeah, I think it's when the blue marine plops into the ocean and Aquas.
I think yeah. And loads of people, for some reason, it made them think of Wave Race, and I did as well. And I thought, God, they could make a Wave Race. They could make a Wave Race remake, and man, I would buy day one. My God, I would buy day one.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just a guess. It's just a guess.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I guess one thing I want to ask you guys in particular is with the games we already know, like I was talking about, like what I expect to see for Fire Emblem. What do we expect new content from Fire Emblem, and what do we think Ocarina of Time is going to look like? Because I have my idea of what Ocarina of Time is going to look like, but I want to know from you guys, what do you think it will look like, and what are you hoping to see for Fire Emblem or whatever else that we'll see, like specifically from the games of the Direct?
I can see for the next Zelda, and I mentioned this to you before, I can see them trying to use the similar art style and assets from Tears of the Kingdom. They might be bumping things up around a little bit further. Not necessarily the same engine or so, and certainly not physic elements of physics like they've been really prone to using in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom to make that world really unique and unto its own. But I can see either a mesh of Ocarina of Time's art style blended with more modern assets, or I could see them try and recreate things using Tears of the Kingdom's assets. I don't feel like they might lean on that end as much as them trying to make things more comfortable and familiar with um, what people expect, would otherwise expect. All I know is I don't want to see like up-res textures and everything look relatively the same. They could
No
say
Ocarina
remake.
of Time 3D. No
At-
3D
at-
SHD.
At this point, I'm sorry, uh, remake and remaster are unfortunately for many people so interchangeable.
Yeah.
Until we see the product, I cannot make up my mind. Because I felt very similarly with Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door when that game got its remake, and I'm like, oh no, I can see why now because there's this X amount of quality of life. There's certain changes made to this chapter to adjust the pacing. They cut off on the backtracking here. They made this way more accommodating, and it looked absolutely gorgeous, even though most of what we knew we came to expect. I don't think we'll be in some completely alien, totally remade from scratch, giant new hustling, bustling towns kind of remake. I think we'll overly be familiar. I think we're going to get a splash of the FF7 remake effect, where certain things will be expanded upon and given a little more flesh, just to try and make things have not only a new coat of paint, but a new sense of familiarity, a new way to extract emotions we didn't think about from certain characters or scenarios. And yeah, it's a tough say at this point, and unfortunately, I'm just always left in that position of at this point in my life, it's a matter of I'll see it when I see it, and
Yeah.
I'm not building expectations otherwise, which is why my expectations are generally low for these directs over the last few years.
That's the way to do it. And then you're blown away, regardless.
Oh, I'll be happy no matter what.
Yeah.
I love seeing the make of it no matter what. I can sit in a direct that people would say is like C tier, and I'm like, this is a solid B. This covers like all these ranges. So it's just the one hit that you're missing, or we already knew about this because somebody leaked it. So
Yeah.
of course your expectations aren't going to be as high as they should be,
Yeah.
or they're higher than they should be, etc. Like that.
Yeah. Yig, I just noticed that you sent that message, but any final things you want to say about Switch 2 or the Direct before you might have to leave? Or
I think Switch 1 overall, because I want to tie us back to the year in review as well. I think it's had a good first year.
Yeah.
People are way too pessimistic of it. We've touched up on a variety of the older generation games that have been left to the wayside. At the same time, this console is more expansive with third party than Nintendo has ever been. And I know that does not come without contrition. With regards to game key cards or accessibility and then price points, whatnot. But ultimately, looking at this console for what it is, it's the most expressive and expansive that Nintendo has ever allowed its library to be in many years. And it's only going to continue to grow even more so. So, looking at it this way, and even for people who don't want the third party, like for myself, like I have not jumped off on GameCube cards yet. That's changing, like I said earlier. That's going to change with Adventures of Elliot. It'll be my first GameCube card pickup. But even then, for that, I also have a backlog and a library of Switch 1 games I've still barely yet to scratch.
Yeah, you're right.
That this year has also allowed me to dabble into. And I think it's like my earnest hope, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed for this, we have now, at this point, we've got all the pieces of the puzzle. The Switch 2 is out. We're a year in. We're settling in on hopefully some of our expectations. We know what to expect with Switch 2 going forward a little bit. I look at it this way: we've climbed up the diving board. We got our Switch 2. The diving board's out there. It's all set. The water's all set in the pool. We're up, and now we got to go in on that leap of faith, and we're gonna have a hell of a ride going down. So I want to see desperately what's up next, and I truly think once we start getting the ball rolling even more so, we're looking at we're going to be looking at not just the next year, but the next 2 or 3 years. I want to say a very solid, smooth transition from first party to big third party announcements to things we never came to expect, and it's just going to keep rolling and rolling. And truly, that's the expression that's my expectation of the system going forward. I don't think we're going in for any droughts anytime soon. I think this is the starting speed, and we only begin to elevate and escalate from here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by all means, it's not a slow starting speed like some others are expressing. That's your expectations, and that's you sticking to your comfort zones. But a lot of people just generally need to play different games other than their comfort games.
Exactly.
And Nintendo's Switch 2 is going to let them, with that degree of variety, hopefully step out of that comfort zone.
Most definitely. ATB and Justin, I want to know what you guys have, like, what do you guys think about what Ocarina of Time is going to look like? Because I'm very curious, especially because I've heard ATB what you've been talking about with Andres Restart a few times, but I'm curious to know in detail what you believe this remake is going to be.
It's funny. It's like you're saying I'm trying to keep my expectations in. I do think it will be more than just a pretty reskin. That just looks a bit nicer. I don't know how big the budget will be, but I imagine there's certain things that we do see. Like, I gotta hope that we'll see voice acting in it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like after Breath of the Wild's in tears, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Fair enough with 2D Zelda, fair enough. But
that's understandable.
Imagine game.
But with a 3D game, it's gonna feel awkward.
Exactly. The art style is interesting because I don't know if they simply just keep the art style, but with modern techniques and modern graphics, or whether they have a brand new art style. My guess is that they'll keep it looking similar.
So
but
I in my room I have 2 posters. One of Link fighting Ganondorf, and then one of Link and Sheik fighting Moblins and Stalfos and Lizalfos. Like, I'll put them on screen as I edit the video, but that is, like, in that kind of manga anime art style of the official art of Ocarina of Time 3D. And they, even the original Ocarina of Time had that kind of art style for the official art renders. And if they make that into the game, that would be perfect, because that's what they did for Star Fox. The official art, the promotional art for Star Fox made them look like puppets. They made them look like realistic animals, and that's what Star Fox is doing. And I don't want the realism of Ocarina of Time. I want Zelda to keep the whimsy. I don't want it to look as realistic as even a Final Fantasy VII Remake kind of realism, because FF7 Remake looks realistic, but they still are stylized. Their eyes are kind of like bigger, and like they have that kind of stylized look to them. I don't want Ocarina of Time to do that. And I think that anime manga aesthetic is the perfect way to do it.
In my head, I kind of see like the Wii U Zelda demo. Do you remember the Zelda demo when he's fighting the spider? Like I see something like that for some reason in my mind.
I feel like that's even a bit too realistic for OOT. For a new game or a Twilight Princess remake, I feel like that would be perfect. But OOT has that whimsy to it. Like think about if it was in a realistic art style, how would the freaking how would the doctor in Lake Hylia look like, or how would the carpenters look like? All these like really goofy characters, I want them to have that goofy look to them. Or
What's the Great Fairy going to look like?
yeah, the Great Fairies, yeah, like all of those. Yeah.
Why'd your mind go straight there, Justin?
That's what everyone's looking forward to.
Because I just saw something recently where the Great Fairy showed up.
Yeah. I do think they will expand the world a little bit. Like I don't know how much, but I imagine Hyrule being a bit bigger. I imagine they'll fill it up with a few more places to visit. I imagine maybe they'll add a few more side quests with the characters so you get to know them more. Maybe you even spend a bit more time in your youth, like maybe you find out more about your time with Saria and stuff like that.
Yeah, Saria, Malin. You know what Miyamoto said once? He had a very like silly joke. He was like, the game Ocarina of Time is about Link falling in love with 3 girls and like choosing which one he wants to be with or something.
Yeah.
So
Because...
So I want to see
you,
more of a relationship with Saria, Malin, and Zelda, and see how that kind of develops.
Yeah, and I think that's what they'll show, because even when you played it back in the day, you could tell there was something in the tone, like there was a history there, and I don't know if it was stuff that was cut or what, but you could tell there was something there.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's going to be fleshed out. Obviously, the music will be orchestrated. I gotta believe they'll add at least 1 or 2 new dungeons. I think they'll expand all the dungeons anyways.
Yeah.
To what degree, I don't know, but I imagine they'll add
It can't
at
be
least
the same.
1. Yes, yeah, at least 1. I think they'll.
I wonder how they're gonna change it, because obviously if you keep the same dungeon and the same puzzles, it's gonna be boring. Like, oh, I remember this, I remember that.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
that is going to be very interesting. How they're going to incorporate the items, I'm very excited to see how the sages are going to be incorporated in the dungeons, because when I was I've been watching Andres Restart's videos about like how they're going to like change each part. I don't remember if he's mentioned this or not, but my idea has always been that the sages go inside the dungeon first, but they die in the dungeon. Like, you don't see Ruto because she's like either killed by Morpha or something else in the water temple. Same with Naburu. Naburu was like mind controlled, and then like what happens after that, I don't know. Like what does Twin Rova do to Naburu? Or same with like Saria, Darunia, all these people. Like my idea was Darunia uses the hammer to fight Volvagia, but then he loses, and then the hammer is just somewhere else, and you have to get it and then defeat Volvagia yourself. So making that actually play out in the dungeon would actually be really cool in a way.
The funny thing is that we're all going to have crazy anxiety thinking our weapons are going to break. And they're like, oh my god, my weapons don't break.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So
Unless they make your weapons break, I will cry if they do that. If they did that,
They can't. They shouldn't. They will absolutely not. No,
No, they
we're
definitely
in
won't.
a complete different time.
yeah,
I would laugh.
I do. Here's what I want this Ocarina of Time remake to be. I had this idea for a video, and I don't have time to make it now, but I might still make it after OOT is announced. But I was like, the Zelda game we want, but we're never going to get. And you will agree with me on this, ATV, because we had some slight upsets with Tears of the Kingdom. I want a Zelda game that is story focused, like Twilight Princess, like Wind Waker, like Ocarina of Time, but it is still open-ended. It's still open, it's still 3D, you can do things out of order, but it has puzzles that are like, this is the way you do the puzzle, that's it. There's no
100%.
There's no way like I can like make this gigantic thing and sleep on my bed and bounce from here to here, and then, like I did this puzzle because like I figured it out. That's still fun. That can be in the open air Zelda games, but I want a Zelda game which still has that focus. And I think this is the first time they can dip their toes into that. Basically what I'm saying is I want a 3D Link Between Worlds. That's what I want. I want Link Between Worlds style, non-linearity, open-endedness, and I want like that focus on story in a 3D space. But I want an original game. That's why I was like, oh, I can't believe they're doing this in an OOT remake, but OOT remake can be like their testing grounds for it. So yeah.
Oh man, I'm going straight to Gerudo and just listening on a loop to Gerudo Rally. Just
Yeah.
oh my god, orchestrated.
They have major shoes to fill. How are they going to remix Koji Kondo's soundtrack? Yeah. What do you think about what we'll see with Ocarina of Time, Justin?
So I know that ATB is trying to rein in his expectations, his hopes, his dreams, his hype, but I'm letting it fly. I I know that Nintendo reveres this game and they know how important this game is. So I think that they are going to go all out.
Yeah.
Like going off of what I've seen just with the Star Fox remake, if they're going to do what they've done for that, I think they're going to do much more for Ocarina of Time remake. And there's a rumor that from Special Nick, I think it is,
Yeah.
that his rumor was that this has a really
The high budget,
big
yeah.
budget. So, and also looking at the Star Fox remake, we heard from the creator, one of the creators, the illustrators himself, that the Star Fox remake kind of was what he saw in his head. It fulfilled the vision that he
Yeah,
had
Imamura
in
said
his
something
head
like
for
that,
Star
yeah.
Fox. Yeah. So I think that the Ocarina of Time remake is going to fulfill the vision of what they had for Ocarina of Time, which, you know, this is like it's a darker Zelda. It has some dark themes. It has some grittiness to it. So I think it's going to have a little bit more of it's going to look like Ocarina,
Mhm.
but it's going to be a little bit grittier, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit darker, but with a little bit of that hope and whimsy, because, you know, Zelda has that balance of both in it.
Yeah, I'm very
Um,
excited to see how certain moments are depicted. Like, I'm streaming the game, and I did the moment where you go into the graveyard as a kid, and then you go inside the tomb of the royal family, and like you have this moment where like it gets suddenly really cloudy, and then a lightning bolt just like strikes down and opens up the tomb, and then you go inside and you see all these redeads. So they can like do some really crazy things with that, where you go inside, learn the sun song, all that stuff. And even smaller moments like sneaking around the courtyard to get to Zelda, they can expand that so much more. Doing like I don't know, just various small in-between moments, they can expand on it a lot, like the ice cavern, or whatever leads up to the fire temple, or the sacred forest meadow, going through the sacred forest meadow the first time, and then versus the second time you go inside there to get to the forest temple. Things like that can be... Oh, bottom of the well. Bottom of the well is gonna be very fun. Very excited to see how they redesign the dead hand. Oh boy.
Do you imagine?
Yeah.
They're not going to do this, but do you imagine if they did do the Tears of the Kingdom thing and had an underground Hyrule? Oh, mate, imagine they did that. They're not going to.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But imagine.
Well, you do have secret grottos in Hyrule Field, so they can maybe expand those a bit more and make it like a cave system, like how they had in Tears of the Kingdom. But at the same time, I'm also curious to see how Hyrule Field will be expanded, and there will probably be a lot more to do there instead of just like walking around. I hate to kind of dog on Metroid Prime 4 with this, but I don't want it to be like Soul Valley. I want there to be a lot more to be... I want there to be a lot more there. Like, of course, exploring around Ocarina of Time Hyrule Field on Epona is very like chill and relaxing, but like if they want to make this like a 2026 level game, they got to add a lot more stuff to do there, and not make it like a Ubisoft-y kind of thing, but just make it... Or not even like a Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom open world, just make it a little more interactive and have more points of interest and stuff.
Exactly.
That's where Monolith comes in.
That is where Monolith Soft comes in, because
Hope so.
even with Xenoblade 1 and 2 and 3, like 3 added a lot more, Future Redeemed added a lot, but 1 and 2 is very expansive, but there's a lot of variety in the terrain and the design and things like that, so it would be interesting to see how Monolith Soft incorporates that. But
One thing I haven't heard people say is I think that one little tiny feature that's going to be pretty cool is with the Joy-Con 2s and with the HD Rumble.
Yeah.
When you play the Ocarina, I think you're going to be able to hear the melody come through the Joy-Cons.
That would be so cool. Yeah.
That would be very nice.
Because a lot of people were asking me, they're like, oh, would you just prefer it if like you press one button, you play the song? And I'm like, no, the whole fun thing about Ocarina of Time is pressing the buttons to play the notes and you play the song, and you need to learn the song. I thought that was the coolest part, and I hope they keep that.
Yeah.
So incorporating something like that would be cool.
And the only people that will like this will be us old heads that grew up with it.
Yeah.
But since they did it for Star Fox, I need them to do it for Ocarina of Time and allow us to play through the whole game with the N64 controller.
Oh yeah, I think that would be cool. That'll be a fun kind of callback to it. That would be pretty cool.
I'd love to. I would get an N64 controller for that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut from the convo, Nish, but I actually do need to hop out.
No worries, man. Thank you for joining. Guys, check out Yggdrasil. He's been in other stuff that I've done, and everyone's channel is linked in the description. But yeah, check out Yggdrasil. He's got cool stuff that he's working on.
Thank you, everybody.
Xenogears stuff
so
too.
Much.
Yeah.
I hope you guys continue to have a great conversation.
Yeah.
Super nice to meet you, dude, man. Super nice
to meet you too. Let's talk more later, all right?
Definitely.
See you later.
Have a good one.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Have a good one, everyone.
But yeah, Ocarina of Time is going to be fun. I was very pessimistic about it. I'm very weird with remakes because there are some games I'm like, this game needs a remake and I want it, whereas this game does not need a remake and I don't think they should focus on it. First of all, like early on when the rumors for OOT were happening, like 22, 23, 24, I was like, no, don't touch it. It's perfect, don't touch it. And I still believe that, but I'm replaying it now and I'm like, okay, they can expand this, they can change this, they can modify this. But I still believe games like Xenogears and Genealogy of the Holy War, Fire Emblem need the remake because they never like got the full on or like either they weren't available in the West or they were incomplete games. But I'm going to be way more critical about something like Persona 4. Persona 4 does not need a remake. I don't understand why they're doing it. I'm when I see it tomorrow, I will be the judge of it. But if it's just Persona 4 with a Persona 5 reskin, I'll be like,
I mean, that's such a good point though, because I was exactly the same as you. I never thought Ocarina needed a remake, and even playing it back recently, whilst I had this exact same feeling as you, they could probably add something here, they could fix this here a little bit, but if there was never a remake, I would never complain. I still think it's more playable, but I have heard a lot of people who play it for the first time. Most of them, maybe, at least a lot of them do say it's perfect, it's awesome, and all this kind of stuff. But I do hear a lot of people say, "Oh, it's aged quite badly," which I don't agree with. But I do hear a lot of people say that, and so I feel like I want it. It's just me because I grew up playing it. That in my head it's fine, but you know, there is an audience there that would benefit in their eyes to seeing a remake. I think maybe that audience is bigger than I at least thought.
Yeah.
But to your point, there are other games like for me, it's insane that there's never been a Zelda 2 remake. That to me is like the most
I would love
one.
a Zelda 2 remake. Even just remake the first 3 games, Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and Link to the Past. That would be cool, because Link's Awakening got it, and I feel like Oracles will get it. I would want Oracles to get it, because I played a bit of Seasons, and I did not enjoy it. I'm like, bro, I need a remake of that, please.
Yeah.
But
I never thought that excuse me. I never thought Ocarina of Time needed a remake, but I've always been of the mindset that I was cool with them remaking or remastering anything from the Wii era on back.
Okay.
You know, everything post HD.
Yeah, I'm super greedy, so I'm like, whoa, I want it because I'm greedy. You know, but it's always that what if, isn't it? You know, like what is it going to look like? What are they going to change? How well is it going to play? How big is this budget?
For me, it is my favorite video game of all time. Like, I have a video on the channel where it's documenting my top 50 favorite video games of all time. Ocarina is number 1 because of the personal impact it had on me and like how much I loved it as a kid, and every era of my life it's been there. And now again it's going to come back with this remake. So I'm going to be looking at it with a magnifying glass. But I'm also like seeing how loyal FF7 fans are seeing the re-trilogy, and that's a very, very different direction that they're going with. I don't think Ocarina of Time is going to do that, but I hope that they just do it well. But obviously with a remake, you're always going to have people who are like, oh, they messed this up, they changed this too much. But we'll see. Nintendo's
you know what?
smart.
Yeah, there was a funny moment when I did a podcast with Nash, and we were talking about just exactly that, like what kind of remake will it be, how ambitious, and he was saying that I think he first heard about it in 2022, and he, in his mind, he was worried about the level of ambition the game would have, because I don't think he expected it to be coming till 2027 or beyond.
Oh, okay.
So his idea was that he doesn't know if there's been enough time for the game to be that ambitious. But in my head, I thought 4 years. But then he said, and it was just this like a nothing comment. He said, you know, unless they did Final Fantasy and put it into 2 parts, maybe.
Oh, and then my Nintendo news, I was like,
oh, they jumped on it, right? And he said, like, but he literally said, you know, maybe you could play part of it as young Link and the other half as like adult Link. But he instantly said, you know, it's just they would never do that. That's not going to happen. It's just an idea. But yeah, you're right. My Nintendo news, 10 minutes later, I was like, oh, Leaker says Zelda Ocarina of Time is going to be in 2 parts. They were like, no, we didn't say that. But it's, yeah, it is funny.
My worry with FF7 is I like the games a lot, but there is a lot of like the direction of the story is kind of aimless. Because what they did with Remake, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I'm gonna see if they double down on it, and they kind of got cold feet with Rebirth, because they're like, oh, we want to see what the fans think about it, and then like write the story in that direction. I'm like, no, if you've done that, then no, just don't. Just stick to your vision and see what it's gonna do. But I love what they did with the world building, and I love what they did with the characters. So I hope they incorporate that into OOT, because going into Kakariko Village in the N64 version, you're thinking like, oh, how many of these people could give me quests, and how many of these people will have different kinds of dialogue, and like how much bigger will the village be, and things like that. Yeah,
dude, the mini games, the fishing and the archery and stuff. Oh my god, it could be amazing.
Like even Castle Town. What if
aiming?
Yeah, gyro aiming, mouse control aiming, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm thinking. I'm just thinking the potential of those boss fights as well. Like if they're redone, they could be so epic, you know.
And they can be actually difficult, because I know because some of them were tough, but that was because I was a kid. I remember Bongo Bongo. I would always lose against him because I never knew what to do.
Yeah. And
that was actually a tough fight. So making some of the bosses a little more difficult and more menacing would be cool as well.
Oh man. Oh, it's just. This is where it's dangerous, right? It's because you start to imagine a picture in your head of what the game could be, and then you start adding in one idea and then another idea, and they'll probably do this as well. And you got to be careful, because if they show it and it's not that big a deal, it's like, oh my god, we got hyped for nothing. But I like what Justin said. Like, Nintendo knows this, along with like Mario 64, so like this is like their most important title, you know, definitely the most important Zelda title. And it means a lot, right? And it was the game that changed the direction of Zelda, you know. And they're aware of this. I'm sure. So I've allowed myself to build up hype and hope. I've allowed myself.
Only a few more games.
This is the craziest thing, right? What day is it today? Saturday today.
Yeah.
Potentially, we could be 4 days away from seeing Ocarina of Time.
No, yeah, definitely, yeah. That's what I was saying. You were saying all this stuff. I was gonna say we won't have to wait long to see it.
Yeah, but that's crazy to me. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I have to call in sick at work. Like, no one's gonna see this, but I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
So
it will be a great direct. It will be a great show, and hopefully Ocarina will look as good as we hope it does. But any final things you guys want to say about the first year of Switch 2 and what we think about what will be announced at this direct and beyond from either of you guys or both of you guys?
You go first, Justin. I'm thinking.
All right. So yeah, overall, this, like I said, like you said, this first year of the Switch 2, I think it's been really, really good. One of the best first years that I've ever like had on any system when you take in everything in context, the entirety of the library from just the enhanced backwards compatibility, the first party games, the third party games. I I hope maybe somehow, some way, going into this second year, the controversies can be lessened, and and that we and that we have left the mid '70s era behind
Yeah.
us, and that we start getting more of these 80 plus, 90 plus
Mm,
rated games for Nintendo, just for people to just be happy about, like, okay, we got these banger, highest of quality game of the year type of quality
Yeah.
games. So I hope that we see more of that going forward. But I think it's been a really good first year. I would describe the Switch 2's first year as it just kind of picked up right from where the Switch 1
mm,
left off. And so it's just that's why I think a lot of people have felt that it's been kind of like boring in some
Yeah.
ways, but it's just been continuing on from where they left off.
Yeah.
and and I think it's been deliberate on purpose. And so we're gonna continue to see that. And hopefully with this direct, hopefully early next week, we won't we won't say the date, we won't say Tuesday so that Nintendo doesn't change the date on us.
Please don't change the date. The rest of my week is stacked, Nintendo. Please.
Yeah. I think that we're gonna get a good glimpse of like what we can expect from year two of the Switch. My hope, just dreaming big, is that maybe we start the direct off with the Zelda 40th anniversary, and then we end it with a tease of the future with Mario.
Okay.
And
That's a good format. Start with Zelda 40th, then end with Mario. Because I was always like, start with Fire Emblem, then end with Zelda, but then where would Mario go? So that's a good idea because Fire Emblem could be in the middle. That would work.
yeah,
As a
yeah,
September reveal. Yeah.
yeah. And I think I think this Fire Emblem might have a really good chance at surprising people.
I think it's
Because,
gonna be
like, in
great.
my opinion, like, yeah, Three Houses, that should have been like a high, not a high, but like a 90 plus rated type of game. But it
I
definitely
think
got dinged.
Yeah. I remember Fire Emblem Awakening was a 91 or 92 or somewhere in the low 90s.
Yeah,
Three Houses was a high 80. For a JRPG, it sold very well and it reviewed very well as well. And if you guys remember, that was the first year the Game Awards did Player's Voice. This was before any gacha games could ruin the votes or anything. And
yeah,
Three Houses was not nominated for Game of the Year.
yeah,
Stupidly so. I thought it was dumb because the game blew up on social media. It had such a vast reach. People who weren't even playing JRPGs picked up this game because they wanted to like they loved the characters, they loved the which house is the best and all that.
Yeah.
Amazing replay value. This game has the ability to get on that level, if not surpass it, because this is going to be continuing the lore, if not the story, of Fire Emblem Three Houses. If it has multiple routes, it'll also have that kind of like, who are you choosing to side with in the heroic games and kind of that. So it'll be great. Fire Emblem is breaking past the niche of JRPGs now, and I think it is a lot less niche than something like Xenoblade. So we'll see how Fortune's Weave does it, because it closed out a direct. That is a huge deal. They're confident in this,
Yeah.
so we'll see.
yeah. I think Nintendo definitely sees Fire Emblem as a bigger deal than some people think that they do.
Oh yeah.
Like they even said it after the success of Fire Emblem Three Houses, that they consider it to be one of their major franchises. Yeah.
Yeah, and with
So
Heroes as well. Heroes is a mobile game, but it grossed over $1 billion, if that means anything. But
Oh, yeah.
that is a thing that will continue. And Fortune's Weave will push more things in Heroes. I have no idea what's going on in Heroes because I don't play it, but that is a thing. But yeah, ATB, what are your final thoughts on the Switch 2 and the Direct?
Oh, okay. So Switch 2, oh god, yeah, it's I gotta say, it's my favorite first year of a Nintendo console. God, maybe ever. It's a big statement, but maybe ever. Just for the amount of games that I've been playing, the amount of third parties that's jumped on. Typically, after the Super Nintendo, we didn't get as many third parties at all. It picked up with the Switch, but even with the Switch, we had to wait like a year or two before they really started coming over. With Switch 2, it started from day one. I think we're going to get more third parties increasingly with every year, because not only has the machine proven itself with sales, it's still the fastest selling console of all time, but for the first time in a long time, whilst the third party games are not outselling Nintendo games, of course, they are selling more now than they have been on Nintendo systems.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, they're selling more than the same versions on the Xbox console.
Yeah. Oh.
So, and they're noticing this now, right? So that, I think now that's going to increase the confidence in third parties, and we're just going to keep seeing more and more tuning in. But my experience, I've had an incredible time. The amount of third-party games alone has got me just so excited. For the Direct, I would say everything I said before, Zelda and a lot of third-party stuff. Capcom, I assume, will be there. I think we'll see Onimusha there. Maybe Monster Hunter. Maybe some Resident Evils.
I don't know about Monster Hunter. They did announce saying, hey, Wilds is in development for Switch 2. So I don't know if we'll see footage yet, but they at least gave us a confirmation that it's happening.
I think we'll see some Microsoft stuff. I assume I think we might see Doom, maybe some other stuff. Call of Duty, I feel like it's the time now to see that. I wonder if we'll see some kind of new project in terms of a new Pikmin shorts, a Pikmin animation, or some kind of animation or media project, film or TV show or Netflix.
Maybe that'll coincide with the Switch 2 edition of 4.
Yeah. So something like that, I imagine. Maybe an extension of the NSO. Maybe we get Wii games. Maybe. I could see it happening. I don't know.
Interesting.
And Mario, God. Why not? I'm gonna say, why not?
If they want to show out their big guns, then now is the time.
I do believe they've come out and said it, right? They have to impress us now. They've come out and said it. They never that open. So I think I know they know that, this is the chance to convince people about that price, right? Everyone's talking about the massive decrease in the sales in Japan last week after the price. That was always going to happen. I think it will carry on going steady, but I do think they're feeling the need to impress us in a big way, and I think this will be it. And so, yeah, I agree. The best way to do that with all the third-party games that will be shown is to have Ocarina and Mario. I think that alone makes people go nuts, So screw it.
Anything else will be a cherry on the top. Yeah.
That's it. I think Justin said it perfectly. Ocarina at the top, Mario at the end.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with you, Justin. I'm gonna predict the same thing. Why not? I feel like I've forgotten something else I was gonna predict, but I can't think now. But yeah, I'll leave it there.
But it'll also be cool to see Duskbloods. They've held off on Duskbloods. I'm very excited to see what that's gonna look like. Even though it's multiplayer focused, I want to see if it'll have some good PvP, PvE. What's going on with that? That would be a fun thing.
I think we'll get a Nintendo Treehouse for Dusk.
Okay, that would be cool. That would be really cool. Yeah.
I had a theory that maybe actually there would be the Direct on Tuesday and the Treehouse on Thursday for something big they show. But I was also going to say, I think surely it's time now to see Project M as well. I think
Bloober.
I think so. They came out very recently and said we're gonna give information really soon. I thought it was gonna maybe be at Summer Games Fest. I don't think it is. So I assume it's gonna be at the Direct. And maybe if it doesn't get shown today or tomorrow, which I think it will. But Chronos DLC
Okay,
as well. Yeah.
cool. But yeah, exciting times ahead for the Nintendo Switch 2 and for us gamers. But I think we'll close out there. We've almost been recording for 3 hours now. But
Dude,
it was a
this
fun.
always happens when I jump on a podcast. I always apologize to Andres. You know, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, man. Like, I talk so much. Like,
It's fun.
I do a little text or something. Yeah.
It's fun.
Every podcast I go on, it's like, no, we're gonna be on for an hour. I'm gonna invite ATB, and then.
Yeah, for this one, I was like, we'll just keep on going for as long as we can because I had a lot to talk about, and I'm glad we got to do that. But you guys want to plug your channels and give a tease of anything you guys are working on?
Yeah, I'm at Just Keep Playing on YouTube. I'm working on my my year one year later Nintendo Switch 2 video. So that hopefully I'll be able to have that ready by tomorrow maybe.
Nice.
And then I'm working on essential Nintendo Switch 2 games.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you can check me out, Attack the Backlog on YouTube and on X. And yeah, I've got a couple of projects. So I've hopefully got one that will either upload tonight or tomorrow, which is a why Nintendo and Link shouldn't be afraid of GTA 6 and why it could come out this November. So that'll be out tonight, tomorrow. And then I've got two projects actually with Bloober. I've got an interview with the two programmers who worked specifically on the Switch 2 port of Chronos, and we're going to talk about how they ported the game over and what was difficult, what the challenges were, and how powerful the machine actually is. But then, like, the one I'm really excited for is I'm going to do an interview with Gregos Lika, who's the lead narrative designer of Chronos.
Oh yeah.
And we've been talking backstage, and he had a really interesting pitch for a Metroid game, and so we're going to do a podcast all about his pitch for Metroid game. He said, like, and he's going to talk about all the things he would change and what the problem is with Metroid at the moment, and then how you would change it, and then what his pitch for the story would be. So that's the one I'm excited for. So
yeah, looking forward to all those things. For me, I guess I'll react to the direct, and whenever there will be so much to talk about. Fire Emblem, Zelda, whatever else is announced. So I don't know how I'm going to make videos on that, but I will. I'll figure it out. But keep it locked in to these guys' channels as well as here on Nishquick Pops for more content just like this. This is Nishquick, ATB, Justin, and Yig signing off. Have a great day. Go play some great games today. Like something on your 1-year-old Nintendo Switch. All right.